Good afternoon and welcome to the New York City Council hearing of the Committees on Transportation and Infrastructure, jointly with Oversight and Investigation. At this time, can everyone please silence your cell phones? If you wish to testify, please go up to the sergeant's desk to fill out a testimony slip. Written testimony can be emailed to testimony@council.nyc.gov. Again, that is testimony@council.nyc.gov. At this time and going forward, no one is to approach the dais. I repeat, no one is to approach the dais. Thank you for your cooperation. Chair, we are ready to begin.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining today's joint hearing of the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure and the Committee on Oversight and Investigations. Today's hearing revisits once again the city's streets plan, and specifically the Department of Transportation's noncompliance with legal mandates contained within the streets plan law that this council passed several years ago. This hearing builds on the robust oversight that our committee has conducted over DOT's noncompliance with that law, from hearings earlier this year on street safety infrastructure and on DOT's budgetary needs for meeting the streets plan mandates, to a series of letters sent jointly with Chair Brewer and the Council's Oversight and Investigation Division on the streets plan mandates. In those hearings and in their responses to our letters, DOT has not provided much specific detail on how likely they are to meet this year's set of streets plan mandates. This despite having hired a designated streets plan director and addressed earlier staffing shortages. We are eager to get more information about DOT's expectations for meeting those mandates this year, especially with the large portion of the quote-unquote building season now behind us. To set the stage for today's hearing, it is important to recount the history of the streets plan. Local Law 195 of 2019 was enacted as a way to coordinate the city's street infrastructure improvements and to support our ongoing efforts to achieve Vision Zero. Local Law 195 required DOT to release 5-year comprehensive plans for managing our streets. Among other things, such streets plans would require the expansion of the city's biking, bus, and pedestrian infrastructure to make our streets safer, encourage mass transit use, reduce vehicle emissions, and increase accessibility for individuals with disabilities. To keep DOT on track, the law mandated that DOT's first streets plan, beginning in December 2021 and operating through 2026, would include the following: 150 miles of physically or camera-protected bus lanes over 5 years, with at least 20 miles in the first year and 30 miles during each subsequent year. Transit signal priority at 750 intersections during the first year and 1,000 intersections during each subsequent year. 250 miles of protected bus lanes over 5 years, with at least 30 miles in the first year and 50 miles in each subsequent year. Bus stop upgrades such as benches, shelters, and real-time passenger information at 500 bus stops each year. The redesign of at least 2,000 signalized intersections over 5 years, with at least 400 redesigns each year. Accessible pedestrian signals at no fewer than 2,500 intersections, with at least 500 installations each year. The assessment and amendment of commercial loading zones and truck routes. The development of parking policies to promote the street plan's goals of safety, mass transit use, reduced vehicle emissions, and access for individuals with disabilities. And within the first 2 years, the creation and maintenance 1 million square feet of pedestrian space. These are ambitious but important legal requirements put in place by the council after careful consideration. And the council has backed up this legislation by allocating significant resources. When it was first passed, the streets plan included $1.7 billion in funding over 10 years. Last year, the adopted budget included an additional $53.3 million in expense funding and $585.6 in capital funding for streets plan projects. And yet, we know that despite this allocation of funds and the City Council's prioritization of the streets plan, DOT has struggled to meet its legal mandates. In 2022, DOT installed just 4.4 miles of bus lanes, well below the 20-mile requirement. It installed 14 of 500 required bus stop upgrades, and it installed 26.3 miles of the 30 miles required bike lanes. While it has done better on other metrics, like adding transit signal priority and pedestrian space, these shortfalls remain concerning. When we last addressed these shortfalls in the spring, it was prior to DOT's quote-unquote building season. But now that a large portion of the building season is behind us, I am interested in understanding, one, whether DOT has made up for its missed requirements in 2022, and two, whether it is on track to meet the 2023 requirements. In addition to the oversight portion of today's hearing, we have a number of bills on the docket, some of which are directly related to street infrastructure, street safety, and the streets plan. Intro number 261, sponsored by Councilmember Julie Menin, would require curb extensions at certain dangerous intersections. Introduction number 738, sponsored by the Public Advocate, would require DOT to consider the placement of traffic enforcement agents in developing an interagency roadway safety plan. Intro 885, sponsored by Councilmember Mercedes Narcisse, would permit automatic waiver of certain additional penalties for a parking violation if a vehicle owner responds to a notice of violation between 45 and 90 days of its issuance. Intro 1026, sponsored by Councilmember Sandra Ung, would require the establishment of a task force to study options, report on, and make recommendations for potential locations for the construction of a bus depot in Flushing. I was glad to tour Councilmember Ung's district as a part of my citywide transportation and infrastructure tour and saw the potential benefit that such a bus depot could have for her constituents and beyond. Finally, we will hear a pre-considered introduction sponsored by me, which would add an investment roadmap to the streets plan law to expand on and enshrine in law DOT's work towards making equitable infrastructure investments throughout the city. So many communities, outer borough communities, low-income communities, and communities of color have not received their fair share of the city's street infrastructure investments. It is important that the streets plan law require the city to regularly take stock of how we are addressing this legacy. I look forward to hearing from DOT, advocates, and members of the public regarding the oversight and legislation at this hearing. I thank my staff and committee staff for their hard work. Samuel Breitbart, counsel to the committee, Mark Chen, counsel to the committee, Kevin Katowski, senior policy analyst, John Basile, senior policy analyst, Jack Siegenthaler, my policy and budget director, and Renee Taylor, my chief of staff. I also want to thank my co-chairs and their staff. I now turn it over to my co-chair, Councilmember Brewer, for her opening remarks, but right before, I'd like to acknowledge that we are joined by Council Members Yeager, Lewis, Narcisse, Carr, Areola, Kagan, Chair Brewer, Councilmember Menin, and Deputy Speaker Ayala, and online we have Council Members Ung and Joseph.
I'm all right. Okay. So,
Sorry, and Councilmember Farias. How could I forget?
thank you, Chair Brooks Powers. I'm Gail Brewer. I'm Chair of the Committee on Oversight and Investigation. I want to thank all of my colleagues, members of the administration, all the amazing advocates who keep us honest, and the public to work with us on the DOT compliance with the city's streets plan mandate. For 10 years, city government has developed ambitious plans to radically reduce the number of traffic deaths on New York City streets and make them those streets more accessible to all New Yorkers, first under Mayor de Blasio's Vision Zero initiative, and since 2019 under the streets plan mandated by the council's local law 195, which to his credit was sponsored by then council member Udanis Rodriguez. Cities as far away as those in Europe and as close as Hoboken, but I never go to New Jersey, just so you know, have demonstrated just how effective physical interventions like curb cuts and daylighting street corners can be when it comes to reducing traffic violence. Implementing in New York City has been halting. It has been halting a lot. For instance, as we heard earlier, as of late August this year, the city had only installed 10 miles of bike lanes, while the streets plan requires the city to install 50 miles by 2024. And this administration had already failed to meet the 2022 goals, only installing 2/3 of the lanes required for that entire year. The Adams administration must install 50 miles of dedicated bus lanes by the end of 2023 and 150 by the end of 2025, but so far has managed to install only 6.8 miles of bus lanes, as you heard earlier. And of course, has done better on other initiatives like with the bike lanes, much better than the bus lanes. DOT has not been forthcoming, I must admit, with the council about why the agency has failed to meet the benchmarks set forth by the streets plan, which is a legal plan. Not only has the agency provided only opaque responses to questions on the street plan's slow progress, the administration has denied that the plan's yearly benchmarks are legal at all. Considering this progress, which some would rate poor, toward completing the streets plan, and the DOT's seeming unwillingness to explain how it will meet its responsibilities, outside observers and advocates have to ask how committed the administration really is to the goals of reducing traffic violence, congestion, and carbon emissions, because that is and will always be the goal of the streets plan. We hope the agency representatives testifying today can explain how the city will get back on track. I would like to thank the amazing Oversight and Investigations Committee staff, Nicole Kata and Policy Analyst Alex Yablon, Oversight and Investigations Division Staff Director Aaron Mendelson, Deputy Director Meg Powers, Counsel Kevin Frederick, who put a lot of time in on this hearing, Lead Investigator Zach Mayer, and Investigator Katie Sinise. And on my staff, particularly Sam Goldsmith. Thank you very much, and we look forward to the hearing. I'd also like to say that Councilmember Williams and Councilmember Ressler have joined us.
Thank you, Chair Brewer. We will now hear from Councilmember Menon regarding Intro 261.
Thank you so much, Chair Brooks Powers and Chair Brewer, for holding today's hearing on several bills regarding the city's streets plan. The streets plan remain vital to keeping our neighborhoods and communities safe and accessible for all. Some goals of the plan, safety, equity, and public space, are issues that my constituents have highlighted as serious issues. The plan must continue engaging communities to ensure safer streets and accessible areas. That is why I introduced my bill, Intro 261, which requires the Department of Transportation to establish a curb extensions program. This would include identifying intersections or areas with potential curb extensions based on incidents of traffic crashes. DOT would then annually implement these extensions in at least 5 intersections in each borough. In fact, the Department of Transportation itself notes that curb extensions enhance pedestrian safety by reducing crossing distances, can relieve sidewalk crowding, and can provide space for functional elements such as seating, plantings, bike share stations, and furniture. Given the benefits, it makes sense to install these curb extensions in areas across the city with high rates of traffic injuries or fatalities. I'm excited that curb extensions are part of the ongoing streets plan, and I'm thrilled to learn more about how they fit into DOT's overall vision. Other municipalities such as Chicago, Washington, D.C., L.A., and Boston all have curb extensions as part of their transit plans. In fact, Boston promotes curb extensions with vegetation as part of its green infrastructure plan. I want to thank my colleagues who have sponsored this legislation, along with the bill drafter, Mark Chen, and from my team, I want to thank my Chief of Staff, Jonathan Shett, Legislative and Budget Director, Brandon Jordan, and Legislative Aide, John Mendez, and I really want to thank the chairs for allowing me to speak, and I look forward to today's hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Councilmember Narcisse regarding Intro 885.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Chair Brooks Power and Gail Brewer, and to all my colleagues that are doing a phenomenal job to make sure that New York City is a place where we can live, enjoy, and be safe at once. The bill before us today is Intro 885. It so offers a window between 45 to 90 days post the issuance of a violation notice, where the compounded penalties can be waived. This adjustment ensures that while we encourage timely responses, we also provide a grace period for those who may need it. While drivers must be held accountable, there is no doubt. We must also acknowledge that sometimes life happens, things happen that prevent folks from being compliant as well. There may be genuine reasons causing delays in responding to such notices, from personal emergency to unforeseen circumstances, but we have to keep in mind that New York City is very expensive to live in, and we want to keep folks in New York City. As the proud sponsor of this legislation, I am pleased that we are providing a more forgiving approach to parking violations. This is not just about parking, it's about recognizing the realities of everyday life and granting residents a reasonable window to address their obligations. To every New Yorker who's felt the strain of an added penalty, this change is for you, including myself. I believe this bill not only the right thing to do, but will also reinforce the trust between the city and its residents, showing them that government understands the nuances of their lives. I urge my colleagues to join me to support of this incredible step forward. When I say it, including me, I used to remember these days that when you get a ticket, you're scratching your head. You don't know how you're going to pay it because the bill, water's coming, everything's coming at once. It's just to make sure that we support our New Yorkers. And I want to say thank you to all the Committee on Transportation that make it possible for those bills to come through, the drafter, everyone that's associated in the City Council, that making sure that we make sure New York City is a place that understand and do the right thing by the people. But thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we will hear from Councilmember Ung regarding Intro 1026.
Can we unmute Councilmember Ung?
Oh, great.
Okay.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you to Chair Brooks Powers and Chair Brewer and the other members of this committee for holding the hearing to discuss Intro 1026. Intro 1026 is a piece of legislation that I introduced that we create a task force to identify the potential locations for a bus depot in my district in Flushing, Queens, as well as the cost estimate for such land acquisition and construction. The intersection of Main Street and Roosevelt Avenue is one of the largest intermodal transportation hubs in New York City mass transit system, including having the highest number of bus to transfer in our mass transit system. Flushing is the home to terminus of the 7 train, a Long Island Railroad station, and dozens of bus lines that serve the central business district. But many of the transit options also bring their own set of issues, including extreme congestion on our streets due to the high number of buses that pass through the busy downtown area and then use of public spaces as layover zones. Flushing streets have become a de facto parking lot for buses, and the increasing number of buses laying over the area are causing a havoc on traffic patterns, affecting small businesses and creating adverse health conditions for Flushing residents. Flushing is in desperate need of a bus depot, and the buses that are laying over there before resuming their routes and should not be parked on our busy city streets where they pose danger to pedestrians and block access to small business. My legislation required DOT, MTA, and the New York City Transit and the City Planning Department to form a task force, which will in turn provide to the City Council a report on the potential location for a construction of a bus depot in Flushing. The study also included the anticipated cost of purchasing the site and completing design construction. Delaying the construction of a bus depot has only made the situation worse, as the number of buses have increased, while possible location to house a depot diminished as Flushing continues to experience ongoing development. This task force we create not only to provide viable locations, but also a realistic estimate of what it would cost to construct a depot, so we could begin to plan a path forward to make this long overdue proposal reality. I would like to thank my Chief of Staff, Alexander Hart, and thank you to the Chair and the committee members for your time and consideration on Intro 1026.
Thank you. And next we will turn it over to our counsel, Sam Breitbart, to swear in our folks from DOT.
Thank you. I'm Sam Breitbart, counsel to the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee of the New York City Council. Our first witnesses will be from the Department of Transportation, Commissioner Idanis Rodriguez, Deputy Commissioner for Transportation Planning and Management Eric Beaton, and Assistant Commissioner for Intergovernmental and Community Affairs Rick Rodriguez. We are also joined for questions from DOF by Assistant Commissioner for Payments, Billing, and Refunds Agnes Rusin. I will now administer the oath. Please raise your right hands. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth before this committee, and to respond honestly to council member questions? You may begin when ready. Please turn on your microphone. Thank you.
Buenas tardes a todos, especialmente a los miembros del público y a los concejales. Good afternoon, Chair Brooks Powers and Chair Brewer and members of the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure and Oversight and Investigations. I'm Idanis Rodriguez, Commissioner of the New York City Department of Transportation. With me today are Eric Beaton, Deputy Commissioner for Transportation Planning and Management, and Rick Rodriguez, Assistant Commissioner for Intergovernmental and Community Affairs. We are also joined by Agnes Rusin, Assistant Commissioner for Payments, Billing, and Refunds from the Department of Finance. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on behalf of Mayor Eric Adams on the New York City Street Master Plan. I first would like to highlight to everyone that the primary elements of the New York City Street Master Plan include the following: safety, equity, mode shift and transportation options, access to jobs, accessibility, public space, sustainable infrastructure, curb management, freight, and public participation. All those areas are included in the Street Master Plan that I had the honor to be a co-prime when we passed this bill in 2019. DOT continues to work hard and creatively with available resources to deliver high-quality, high-impact projects that advance the goals laid out in the New York City Street Plan. We have a number of transformational projects underway or recently completed that will help people, goods, and services move around this city in a safe, efficient, and environmental responsibility way. This morning, DOT released our curb management action plan. More than happy to send some copy to the council member, but it's also available in our DOT website. This is a plan that lays out a strategy to better design and manage the curb lane to reflect the increasingly wide range of need residents, workers, visitors, business owners, and all New Yorkers. The plan includes action DOT will be taking at the curb to improve deliveries, pickups, and drop-offs, bike parking, public space, and more. The priorities in this plan will help reduce congestion, enhance safety, and create a more livable city. Turning to buses, DOT is undertaking a number of bus priority and accessibility projects that will improve commutes for more than 225,000 daily bus riders. These include projects such as Northern Boulevard in Queens, Golden Hill Road and University Avenue in the Bronx, Livingston Street in Brooklyn, 3rd Avenue in Manhattan, and Washington Bridge connecting Manhattan and the Bronx. We are also undertaking a number of transformative bike and public space projects. To share some highlight, in Manhattan, we recently completed a phase of our Broadway vision, which added new plazas, shared streets, and two-way bike connections on Broadway between 25 and 32nd Street. With the next phase from 21st Street to Union Square are now in development. We also recently announced the start of construction on a 10-foot wide protected bike lane on 10th Avenue in Hell's Kitchen, along with new pedestrian island and redesigned intersection. And as you know, this is a model that a lot of cities right now, they are looking on how to replicate the widening of this bike lane that we started doing here in Manhattan. In the Bronx, we are making bicycle improvements in Soundview, including installing protected bike lane on Soundview Avenue. Thank you, Councilmember Faria, for being a champion, not only by word, but also by action, standing with us, pushing those projects that sometimes they are not popular in many communities. In Brooklyn, we will install the longest protected bike lanes ever installed in East New York, along with pedestrian safety improvements on Cozzini, Walt Whitman, and Louisiana Avenue. We are also transforming the popular open street, Various Street, into a bike boulevard with two-way cycling, loading zones, pedestrian enhancement, and a plaza. And in Staten Island, the not forgotten borough anymore, on the Mayor Adams and myself, work is underway on a safety project on Lincoln Avenue through which we will install improved markings, signs, and curb extensions. Thank you to all the council members who supported, gave feedback, and helped promote productive conversation on this project, sometimes putting your name in support in projects that sometimes they're not popular. That's the partnership that we need. We also continue our nation-leading programs to install accessible pedestrian signals to help New Yorkers who are blind or low vision navigate the city, and transit signal priority to speed-up buses. We are so proud of this work that is transforming New York City street, that is a role model nationwide and even across the globe. But we need the council's support to go further by action. We have faced challenges identifying bus and bike lane projects that have robust local support. For this reason, following this hearing, we will be reaching out to each council member, to the 51 council member office with a survey, asking you for suggestion or location where you would like to see bus and bike projects in your district. We look forward to receiving your feedback and working together to advance the goals of the street plan. In addition to the above projects, DOT is reimagining public space across New York City in ways that are not quantified in the street plan, and which were prioritized and fast-tracked as a result of the pandemic, when many of us worked together in my previous role as a council member. Now, in its 4th year, Open Street, something again that we started when I was sitting in your chair, together with the administration at that time, led by Commissioner Polly Tromber and Hans, Open Street continued to be the nation's largest and most successful car-free program. DOT remains focused on expanding and improving the program. With now 200 locations across the 5 boroughs, always asking each council member, where do you want us to build an open street in your district? We are also committed to formally redesign successful open street corridor as bike boulevards, pedestrian plazas, and shared streets. The agency is working to set up the largest outdoor dining program in the country, dining out in New York City. Thank you to Chairman Powers, Speaker, and Councilmember Velasquez, and all council members for making the open restaurant, open dining out together with Mayor Adams a reality, something that now is permanent, and not only for us, but also for the future generations. This year, we also had the most ambitious Summer Street program ever. I know that many of you went to one of those locations, more than doubling in size and bringing the program to all 5 boroughs for the first time in the larger car-free Earth Day. On Mayor Adams and I commitment, all of us, equity had to be translated into what we did. Summer Street used to be only something happening from Brooklyn Bridge to 79th Street along Park Avenue. This time around in 23, we went to Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, and Manhattan, and we went up to 125th Street to the heart of Harlem, 22 miles of Summer Street. We also continue to harden bike lanes, including on Borinquen Place in Brooklyn and Gothel Road north in Staten Island, which do not count toward the street plan benchmark. And this is something that I want for you to have in mind as we ask questions. Those projects that we are doing that was not included and that we are not counting as part of this program. On legislation. First, the pre-considered bill is sponsored by Chair Brooks Powers, Bill T-4007. This bill will require the DOT to include an investment roadmap in the New York City street plan that include investment by community districts. DOT share the council commitment to ensuring we are making the necessary and right investment based on equity. And we are working towards a city where demographics such as race, income, and language will no longer be able to be used to predict transportation access and mobility outcomes. In the New York City street plan, DOT laid out priority investment area that will help focus our investment to where they can have the greatest impact. The PIAs are based on 3 inputs: demographics, density, and previous level of DOT investment, and are measured at the neighborhood level using the city's 195 neighborhood tabulation areas. You can see the map of the PIAs included in my testimony. We will be happy to discuss this bill further with the council and work with you to implement projects in areas that have had less investment previously. DOT is continuing to invest in community across the entire city, but the agency is now prioritizing a street design investment in higher need neighborhood based on the PIA tiers, while still being guided by data such as crash histories and slow bus speeds. You can see an example of how we will overlay the Vision Zero priority corridors, intersections, and areas as well as transit and bike priority projects with the PIAs in the maps included in my testimony. This administration is committed to creating a more equitable city, and we are doing better at investing in underserved communities. But we also recognize that there is so much more to do. We look forward to continuing partners with the council to advance projects in districts with less investment previously. On Intro 261, sponsored by Councilmember Manning, This bill would require DOT to establish a curb extensions program and implement curb extensions at a minimum of 5 intersections in each borough. Through the Vision Zero Borough Pedestrian Safety Action Plans, DOT used crash data to determine the locations most in need of safety enhancements. We then implement targeted safety treatments that produce the greatest safety benefit at those locations. While curb extensions are an important tool in our toolbox and we use it, we urge the council to allow our engineers to retain flexibility to determine where safety treatments are needed and which treatments are most effective in those locations. It is important to evaluate location holistically rather than needing to account for a certain number of specific type of treatments. As always, we welcome your partnership in identifying locations of concern and implementing critical safety projects. Next, Intro 738, sponsored by Public Advocate Williams. This bill will require DOT, as part of the Interagency Roadway Safety Plan, to consider placing traffic enforcement agents in certain areas. Traffic enforcement agents play an important role in street safety. Through the Vision Zero Task Force, DOT and the NYPD coordinate closely on roadway safety, and we welcome further discussion with the council and the NYPD about TEAs can be deployed to enhance safety. Next, Intro 885, sponsored by Councilmember Narcisse. While the administration appreciates the council's intent to protect New Yorkers from overlay punitive measures, we are concerned that the legislation will have unintended consequences. Specifically, this legislation will disrupt a carefully constructed escalating penalty scale that incentivizes 70% of violations to be resolved within 90 days of issuance. The city has gone a long way to ensure that customers have options to resolve their parking violation in depth, including the Pay or Dispute app that allow motorists to get a hearing and unload evidence using their cell phones, and the rollout of self-serve parking payment plans earlier this year. On Intro 1026, sponsored by Councilmember Owen, which would require the city to establish a task force to study options to potential location for a bus depot in Flushing, Queens. We agree that a bus depot would benefit the neighborhood and look forward to discussing this further with the council, the Department of City Planning, and the agency that is responsible for that, which is the MTA. In conclusion, I would like to thank the council for the opportunity to testify before you. We will look forward to your partnership in getting critical projects in the ground in your district. In 1 minute in Spanish. Gracias por la oportunidad que nos dan de venir a testificar. Hoy estamos aquí representando al alcalde Eric Adams, reconociendo con orgullo todo el trabajo que bajo su administración hemos estado haciendo bajo el Street Master Plan, que nos ha permitido tener la visión, la guía y los recursos necesarios para hacer de las carreteras más seguras para los peatones y los ciclistas. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I'm going to start off with round one of questions, and then I'm going to yield to Chair Brewer and my colleagues and come back with any follow-ups. So first, I want to talk about year-to-date progress. Under the Streets Plan, DOT is required to build 30 miles of protected bus lanes this year. How many has it built this year to date, and how many does it plan to build before the end of the year? And I just want to know the actual number, and that's all, if that's okay, because I want to be respectful of time.
Can you please put on your microphone? Thanks.
We will call, and Eric Bitton, our Deputy Commissioner for Transportation Planning and Management, will respond to the question.
Sure. Thank you, Chair. And I very much appreciate the question, because we are working very hard every day to deliver bus improvements and all of the other streets plan elements. I don't have a number for you today because we are actually every day doing more and more. I think what we would like to do.
What's the last number you have?
So I don't have a current number, so we do more every day.
But you had to expect that you were going to get asked that question with today's topic. So you have no number to give to this committee?
We collect these numbers at the end of the year as the projects finish. We don't think providing a day-by-day update gives an accurate representation of the work that we have underway, as big projects tend to finish towards the end of the year.
Now, I know you hired a streets plan director. Is that person here today?
Yes, he's in the audience.
And so does that director not keep a regular tally in terms of how much is completed?
So we tally this all at the end of the year as all of the projects are finished. Many of our big
The end of the
projects-
calendar year or the actual year where you're able to do the building? Because I know in the last hearing you talked about the seasonal component, which we're almost at the tail end of right now.
That's right. Our construction season goes through the end of October or mid-November, depending on the weather. And that's the point where we really start calculating this. When we put together the bill and working with the council at the time, we agreed that February would be the right point in the year to deliver updates, and that's why it's enshrined in the law, because that's really when we have good information and can count it up correctly. I don't want to be sitting here and giving you bad information because of how much things change day by day.
Yeah, I would like to add on this, that is for the chairman, the council member, and the advocate in the city. It's not that we are not ready that we are not prepared to share number. It's as the Deputy Commissioner here said, the council administration passed this bill, and we decided that February, the beginning of the year, is the best timing for us to be able to know how many miles, what number do we have, and that's a report that we make every year.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, but when we met earlier this year, around February, there was no numbers that were able to be shared then. So now we're in the month of September, and we are now being told that there are no numbers now. So what is your best estimate in terms of how many? Because earlier this year...
We do give, Chair, at the beginning of the year, we give the report of our number of the year before. This is how the council, we passed this bill in 2019, the Street Master Plan. If we want to make changes to a Street Master Plan, and more than happy to follow on your bill, more than happy to look on this, more than happy to include open street, Summit Street, pedestrian plaza as part of the Street Master Plan. We are more than happy to sit down with you and the council. But that's how we passed the bill in 2019. At the beginning of the year, we are able to share the number that we are able to accomplish in the year before. There's a lot of factors that play a role in those numbers. Council member support, community support, for bus lane, for bike lane, weather. So those are things that we know that are important factors. So again, we are prepared on the work that we do, but the way how the bill is passed is that at the beginning of the year, the agency, they go back to the council, share the data of the year before.
So throughout the year, are you not like compiling like month to month? Like how frequently are you looking at this information as an agency?
So there are different ways we look at the information. Project by project, we follow every project very closely. Right? There's, about 100 projects we do in a given year. About 60 of them are ongoing right now. And so we follow each project closely, but in terms of how many miles get completed, sometimes it depends how far we get in terms of the weather. Sometimes it depends on how closely we're working with communities and making adjustments. So we have a plan, and then sort of as each project proceeds, we're tracking it. But we feel like the only really accurate number you get is at the end of the season when you can double check everything that's been fully completed.
But as these projects are happening throughout the year and they're completed and you're checking it off, is no one taking a tally of that information at all?
So we do keep track, but most of our projects are not completed. Our big projects, the ones that deliver significant bus and bike lane mileage, tend to occur over the full course of the year.
So I understand that most are not completed, but of those that are completed, what is that number? So that I could continue with the questions, while we're in this hearing, it would be great if someone from your team is able to give us a number, so that we can go in, because I have additional questions on that, and I'd like to have an idea of where DOT is with its implementation.
We will follow with you after the hearing on those numbers.
But we sent the letter and we didn't get the answer in the letter.
We will follow with you, keeping updated where we are. And as I say, we're more than happy to, look at bill that asking for some changes.
My concern, though, Commissioner, is that we have sent several letters. We have not gotten a clear answer from DOT. DOT is aware that we had this hearing. They were aware what the topic was, and to come unprepared to be able to answer and give any type of number, I think is unacceptable. And to tell us that we'll get an answer after a public hearing, once again, we haven't been getting an answer. So while we're here and there's a streets plan director in the room, it would be great if we could get an idea at the minimum as to how many have been completed to date, because the season is almost over anyway. It's not substantial work that I would imagine will be left to be done between now and October.
Yeah, so we are not ready to give you the number today. We are more than happy to follow with you after the hearing.
Will DOT meet the mandate for 30 miles of protected bus lanes this year?
Last year, we didn't reach that number. We had a goal at DOT to work toward that goal. And as I said before, this is deep to my heart because I was a co-prime on this bill. As I said before, to get to those numbers that we have as a goal require a lot. That's why we are putting the survey to each 51 council member.
Clarification is,
if you don't mind, having council member coming back to us where they want bus lane and bike lane will help us a lot to get to those numbers. Without that level of participation, most likely we will not get to those numbers.
and point of clarification, it's not a goal, it's a legal mandate that DOT reach this number. It's not a goal. So I just want to clarify the terminology there. On page 59 of the 2023 Streets Plan update, you mentioned several quote-unquote potential upcoming projects related to bus lanes. How many of these projects are moving forward?
I think we're really quite pleased with how many important bus projects we have underway this year. We did a tremendous bus project on Northern Boulevard. We have very much underway and I think really shaping up a great bus project on Gun Hill Road in the Bronx with center running bus lanes and boarding islands. We have underway a big bus lane on 3rd Avenue in Manhattan. I think we're really doing tremendous amount of bus priority work around the city. And we're happy to, again, as we get towards the end of the year, give you the full accounting of every project we've done. But we have major bus projects serving hundreds of thousands of people on major corridors around the city. We're hard at work on improving our streets and making our buses faster.
And shared, again, like as someone that we, from this side, I very proud of the work that, working in collaboration with the council and you and the leadership, we are working with that, as I say, the law, the bill that mandate the city. But there's also things that we want to, be open here. Let's say we had goal for a bus lane at 4th Avenue. It was almost 2 miles. The council members say instead of doing the bus lane, we would like for DOT to paint 4th, to put in the speed camera. So even though we will work along the council member, and those are more than 2 miles at 4th, with what he wants because he feel that having a redesigned 4th for bus lane is not something that he can support. We will work with him with painting as he wanted to, but that work will not be recognized by the council as the work that we did it. So those are like, the day-by-day reality on how we from this side have to navigate toward getting those numbers that is mandated by the street master plan.
So I'm not clear in terms of the number of projects that are moving forward.
That can be included in what the commissioner said we would follow up with you about.
As you know, the MTA has projected that by the end of 2023, around 80% of bus lanes will be covered by camera enforcement. Does that 80% number refer solely to bus-mounted ABLE cameras only, or does it include coverage from stationary DOT cameras?
Without speaking to what the MTA said, because it's their number, we think that number sounds very accurate.
You said accurate or inaccurate?
Accurate. And it includes both. We work very closely with the MTA on placing both the fixed and the mobile cameras. DOT actually processes all of the mobile violations for the MTA to make sure that there aren't conflicts between, if you get caught by a fixed camera and a mobile camera, that we're not issuing two violations. And the different cameras do different things. The fixed cameras are very good at capturing people who are driving in bus lanes, so moving violations. The on-bus cameras capture people who are stopped in the bus lane, parking or standing. So the two really complement each other well, and we work closely with the MTA to make sure that they're a system. As we count miles for the streets plan, it's also a little bit of a calculation we have to do, because the actual bus lane goal is what they call protected bus lanes in the legislation, which means either physically protected or lanes that are enforced by camera. And so an existing bus lane that gets enforced by a camera ends up being something that counts towards that legal target, which also means we are working closely with the MTA about which routes are getting new cameras, and that's another thing that is challenging to count until all of the buses are out there and the year is complete.
Can you explain in detail how DOT staff coordinates with MTA staff responsible for MTA's ABLE program?
Sure. We coordinate at multiple levels. So on the planning side, we have a unit called the Transit Development Unit that works with the operations planning group at MTA New York City Transit. They help do the planning work around identifying which corridors should be next for either fixed or mobile cameras. And then on the operations side, our automated enforcement team works very closely with the MTA Department of Buses, as well as with the Department of Finance, to set up the entire end-to-end system where violations potential violations are captured by camera. Every potential violation is reviewed by a human government employee to make sure that the person was not avoiding a police car or engaging in actually appropriate behavior. And then we mail the notice of violation and work with the Department of Finance to adjudicate.
Will the increased enforcement camera coverage provided by the MTA enable you to reach the 2023 streets plan mandate for protected bus lanes?
So we are still working with the MTA on exactly which corridors will be added, but certainly that will help us work towards that goal.
And are you coordinating sufficiently closely with MTA on its ABLE camera programs?
Absolutely. MTA has been a terrific partner in setting up this on-bus enforcement system. We think it's been very effective and are pleased to see that they're rolling it out so many places around the city, as well as pleased that the state legislature expanded their ability to do mobile enforcement starting next year.
That's good to hear. So does that mean you'll be able to say how many of the 600 cameras estimated by the end of 2023 have been installed by the MTA?
Well, we'll work with the MTA, but given our close relationship, I expect we will be able to report on that.
So you're not able to say how many are estimated?
Well, I can't speak for the MTA's number, but we think that that is a number we can work with them to give.
The MTA shared that the number is about 550. Under the streets plan, DOT is required to install upgrades such as benches, shelters, and real-time passenger information at 500 bus stops each year. How many bus stop upgrades has it made year to date? How many upgrades does it plan to make before the end of the year? And finally, will DOT meet the mandate for 500 bus stop upgrades this year?
Right, so the mandate in the legislation is to install either a bus or either a bench or a leaning, or either a bench or a shelter and a real-time information sign at 500 bus stops per year. We have been working very hard to get a new real-time information contract. The cost for that has been higher than expected, and so we've been engaging in very thorough negotiations with the potential vendor. We are hopeful that that will be resolved soon and we can be out there installing more real-time information, which we think is very beneficial to bus riders around the city. In the meantime, we have been focusing on installing new benches at bus stops that already do have real-time information. So again, that's something that's changing day by day, and we can follow up on the current number.
I'm curious to know what numbers you came prepared to share today, because I haven't heard any numbers at this point. I'm going to yield my questions at this moment and allow Chair Brewer to ask some questions.
Thank you very much, Chair. So just picking up on this issue of numbers, so how does the streets plan director track progress? Is there like a tool? Is it something that is online at all? I know obviously the date of February is important, but then that's a once a year. So what's the basis for your statements, I think, back in May about being on target? In other words, how exactly are you tracking?
So when we spoke at the beginning of the season, we had, it was a look ahead number, and as we've said, we strive very hard to meet all of these mandates, and we have, again, about 60 projects underway to do that. During the year, we track it on a project-by-project basis, where we're tracking sort of from the operational side. Are the signs up? Is the paint down? All the things that go into delivering one of these projects. So we do keep very close tabs on it from an operational perspective. We then do need to go back and make sure that things meet the definition of protected lane. Make sure that we're complying with the detailed legal mandates that are in the law. So it's not that we're not tracking projects, because of course we are. There's very specific definitions in the legislation, and to give accurate numbers, we have to make sure that what's implemented at the end of the year is in line with those definitions.
All right, so after this hearing, can you provide some of those reports? Obviously you will in February, but can you also do some that are after this hearing today? I didn't know when you said we'll do it later. I didn't know what that meant to the chair.
Yeah, sorry, as the commissioner said, we are happy to follow up with some more detail after the hearing.
Okay. The streets plan director, does that person have staff working with them? Who do they report to? And does that person work exclusively on the streets plan?
So the person...
the person who's sitting in the audience, yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan Hawkins, who's sitting behind me and has, I think, really done an amazing job pulling all of this together. So he runs our streets plan unit, but what that really does is it coordinates across all of the different moving pieces within DOT, right? The streets plan isn't something that stands alone. The streets plan is a guiding light for our bike program and our bus priority program and our street safety intersection redesigns, right? So he works to coordinate that entire effort, as well as to produce the very detailed accounting and reports that we need at the end of the year. So, it's not a big office, but it is one that gets a lot of support from across the agency.
Okay. I want to thank you, because I know you responded to some of our correspondence on Friday, and you mentioned that there are protected bike lanes on Soundview in the Bronx, East New York and Brooklyn, Upper East Side of Manhattan. So are these bike lane projects do they qualify as protected under the plan?
Yes, in each of those areas, we expect that the vast majority of the project will count as protected. Again, we do this on a block-by-block or even sub-block basis, that if there's a piece that is not protected, we don't count it. So we think the vast majority of those will be protected bike lanes, but we do make sure that we account carefully.
Okay, and then today, to the credit of the mayor and DOT, I am excited about the notion of UPS and other carriers doing the last mile on a bike as opposed to their truck. So will these bike lanes be able to handle, I think some are 8 feet, some are 10 feet, et cetera. Will these bike lanes be able to handle such vehicles or devices?
Yes, this is something we're very excited about too, and we think that
We can agree on that.
Yeah, okay. So we do think that as we're designing bike lanes, we're designing them for the world that we have going forward, where, as the commissioner said in his testimony, we are designing wider bike lanes, designing, visibility at corners, making sure that the lanes we are building are ones that can accommodate, whether it's just more cyclists, whether it's larger cargo bikes, that they reflect what we are seeing on the street and expect to see in the future.
Okay,
And also, Gail,
go ahead. I don't think the mic is on.
yeah, the widening of the bike lane, and this is something, again, that I know that this is like a very productive hearing, and we're looking forward to continue the conversation with the leadership of the council, just to go over the street master plan, because 2022, we had 200 million bike ridership in New York City. Now we are having an estimate of 550,000 every day. So as you know, you follow, with details, a lot of the things that we happen in the city. As you know, we've been doing a couple of pilot projects. Like, we're using the technology now. We're putting some sensor in some locations so that we can count with accurate time the numbers of pedestrians, the number of cycling that is going through important intersection. The reason why we are getting into those pilot projects, because we know that we have to adapt and to plan according to the new increase of not only the cyclists, but also we also doing, as you saw, the last mile. That now we're also doing identify a number of locations, giving UPS, FedEx, and Amazon and other the opportunity for them to bring those trucks with those products to a location. But from there, we want for them to use electric bike, cargo, electrical vehicle, and also is responding to this other percentage of 80% of New Yorkers are ordering online every week, and more than 22% are ordering 4 times a week. So this is the competition that we had to navigate. Those who want bus lane, those who want bike lane, those who want the delivery. And sometimes it takes this partnership for us to go to community and for people to see how important it is to support those projects in their district.
And I would argue that it's even more important because of what you said, to complete the streets plan, because this particular suggestion of the cargo bicycles won't work unless the streets plan is built out in the way that you envision. So it needs to happen faster. That's the bottom line, in order to have even the cargo bikes able to succeed and get those goddamn motorcycles and mopeds out of the bike lanes, as I saw them today and every day in the bike lanes, onto the street. I know that's not part of today, but they're horrible in the bike lanes. In your letter Friday, again, this is back to still data, you said that ongoing projects impacts on the streets plan quantitative goals are not yet available. These details are finalized after designs are finalized and approved. So my question is, are you saying that those designs are not final, even though you are in the peak of your project implementation season? So we're still trying to get at the fact that, time is of the essence. How do we get these designs final so that the streets plan is complete and that we can get more data?
I think one of the real benefits to the way our agency operates is our flexibility and our ability to respond quickly to things. And what that sometimes means is that as we're out working in the field, there's sometimes a field condition or we get some local feedback that we have to take into account and even change the project as we're working on it. And so we take that feedback very seriously, and we think the projects often end up better for it. But that means that we do really want to make sure that everything's completed before giving a number of what has been completed. Obviously, we have projections earlier in the year based on earlier designs, and we want the final numbers to be accurate.
Okay. And along those lines, I'm a big believer in in-house capacity. I won't get started on this topic in a different contract discussion, but I believe strongly in in-house capacity. And I know you talked about, particularly for the bus stop, et cetera, finding contractors is an issue. Even if you have the funding, finding contractors is an issue. So what are you doing to increase your in-house capacity so you don't have to rely on the outside? Detailing, if you could, how you're improving in-house capacity.
Sure, and I very much agree with what you say. Like our ability to do so much and to do it, frankly, at very low cost compared to other construction projects is because we have tremendous in-house capacity to do signs and markings and, and concrete and other elements. It's a little bit in the weeds, but one of the big constraints that we've been working through is our facilities space. It's something that we also highlighted with the original.
That's because
plan.
somebody in the city wants too many developments in Manhattan, and then you don't have any space to store anything. Keep going.
Yeah, light industrial land is in very high demand right now. We're very pleased, for example, that we're able to open a new yard on Flatbush Avenue near the Belt Parkway, where we're able to stage more concrete crews this year than we had in past years, and that lets us do more concrete for safety work. We're similarly looking for space and working closely with DCAS and OMB around space where we can put more markings crews. So we are very actively working to solve that constraint, and we believe it is very important to make sure we can deliver on all the milestones going forward.
All right, so you are improving and expanding your in-house capacities. You could be specific with contracts, for instance, relevant to the streets plan, where you're able to provide maybe even copies as to what these contracts are, and then as time goes on, show us where you can do more in-house than outside. So can you provide copies of contracts relevant to the streets plan?
Sure, yeah.
You can provide those contracts.
Yeah, I believe they're public record and we can help provide them.
Okay. A couple more questions. DOT testified in May that the real-time passenger information contract for bus stops had not been finalized. So I want to know, again, you said that it's tough to do this because of the issues that you just listed, but has that contract been finalized? When did it begin? If it has been, the name of the contractor, have any of the bus stop upgrades been completed, and how many? I think you mentioned that earlier. It does seem to me that it's not a council challenge in terms of people who are opposed to do bus stops, real-time benches, and the shelters. People love them. So that should be something that should be able to be done. Everybody complains about bus lanes, everybody complains about bike lanes, even though we support them and it's the right thing to do, but not bus shelters. So what's the story here?
Sure, and on the real-time information, I think we were very hopeful at the last hearing. Unfortunately, because the cost has been so high and because the city, frankly, has some challenges around the budget, we are working through that contract, and we are hoping to finalize it soon, but we are really pressing the contractor to get the price as low as we possibly can.
Okay, so do we have, can we get copies of those contracts for the bus stops and the real time and the benches and so on, even though you say they're expensive?
I think once the contract is finalized, we would be able to share it. I don't believe we can share anything in progress.
All right. How the streets plans were developed before the e-bikes, mopeds, et cetera. Are you, again, I guess you're thinking about the larger size of the bike path, but generally, this is probably the number one issue for so many folks. How are you thinking about street design to accommodate these vehicles? Obviously, we're thinking about the cargo bikes for one hand, but when we still have the other challenges that are part of our city. How are you just thinking about that? Even though it's not a contract issue, it does play into bike lanes and bus lanes. Are we educating the public about this issue? How are we making sure that we are using the streets as planned motorcycles in one place, e-bikes in another, cargo bikes where the bicycles are, et cetera. It's more of a general issue than a contract issue.
Yeah, I think that we are doing the best we can to our ability. As we said at the beginning, the role of this agency is to oversee 27% of the land in New York City that is under this jurisdiction. And we have so much limited space. We are only 350 square miles, not only to plan for the 8.6 million residents, but last year we have an average of 50 million tourists. So we had to, redesign our street, having the pedestrian as a cyclist at the top in the forefront for us, reimagining the use of public space, having the support of the resources that Mayor Adams had provided in January and last year. We've been able to continue redesigning our street so that there's going to be enough space for pedestrians, for cyclists, for bike lane. As I said, this increase of the numbers of electric bike, the numbers of the bike share, the bike trip that we have in the city, 200 million last year. This is a reality. And we plan to the best of our ability, knowing that we only have 350 square miles in our city, where there's a lot of competition of what the different sectors need. And as I said, most important, we need support from the 51 council members when we have to build those bike lane and bus lane in their districts.
Thank you. So my conclusion is, my understanding is you're going to get us all contracts relevant to the streets plan, quote unquote, as public information, but we'd like to get copies of them, right? That's what you said?
Yes, for any contract that is completed,
Yes.
and then we can follow up with others.
Right, we definitely need, as Chair said earlier, all that other information. Thank you.
And Gil, Councilmember, one
Yes,
thing
Udanis.
highlighting to you is about you and I that you served together for so many years.
Yes, many years.
We have so many agents coming here talking about contract, the NWBE. One thing that I can be very proud of how important it is for the chair, that the year before I took this agency, the numbers of the agency for NWBE was only 11%.
No.
In this administration, I moved this number to 21%.
I think that's commendable, but they still need to build more. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Next, we will have questions from Councilmember Rafael Salamanca.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner, it's good seeing you. First, I want to thank you. You were in my district last week where we did the, I would say, ribbon cutting for the Sheridan Boulevard, or the opening of the Sheridan Boulevard, 172nd Street. And I want to thank you because you also came to my district in August and did a walkthrough with me on concerns that I have regarding the Westchester Avenue and Whitlock project. I see some of your staff is looking at me because I'm going to bring that up right now. But my first question, Commissioner, whenever I have concerns with DOT at the moment, I have to either call your chief of staff or call you to get something done. There is no borough commissioner in the borough of the Bronx. When is that going to change? When am I going to be able to call the borough commissioner for the Department of Transportation in the Bronx?
We have an interim borough commissioner, and we're working in the process to bring the permanent commissioner there. But again, as you said, and it was not only, it was nice to be with you, in the Sheridan Boulevard, something that as I said there, I had the honor to be also the one that carried on the resolution, supporting what the state was looking to do there with the leadership of so many elected officials, including you also in your previous role that we have in the community board. So we will, again, more than happy, we're working with that process, but as we said before, the Bronx and other boroughs that they were not top priority in the past, it's not the same story right now. Not only I was there, I said last week, but after that, I was there with the commissioner in the Bronx, finishing the Grand Concourse redevelopment, and I'm going next week to the Bronx. As I've been in the other borough, I'm going to the Bronx as I'm doing the commissioner in the borough, holding meeting, doing the walk, listening from everyone, including the council members who are partners with everything that we need to accomplish in the city.
No, I understand that, Commissioner. And, you are the commissioner for the entire city of New York. You're extremely busy. When I have concerns or community boards, for example, 12 community boards in the borough of the Bronx, they have concerns about stop signs, speed bumps, sidewalks. They don't have the same access that I have, which is calling you directly or calling your chief of staff. There needs to be a level of accountability, and our level of accountability is reaching out to that borough commissioner so that we don't have to bother the commissioner of the entire agency on something that a borough commissioner can deal with. So I just wanted to publicly say, it's needed. Please speed it up and select the borough commissioner so that we can work with them and continue to move forward. Okay?
We're working on it, and you are partners on what we do in transportation.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Councilmember Ressler, followed by Carr.
Thank you, Chair Brooks Powers and Chair Brewer. Appreciate very much your leadership on these issues and the oversight hearing today. Commissioner, I think that you and your team are trying to do the right thing, and I appreciate that you are trying. But the results are inadequate. And I think that we went from a period just over a decade ago where then Mayor Bloomberg said to Jeanette Sadiq-Khan, politics be damned, be bold, let's go save lives and make streets safer, to now we're at a point where it's all politics all the time. And we are failing to execute on the projects that need to be done to finally make our streets safe. We are on pace for one of the deadliest years in a long time, and I know that you care deeply about this, and I know your team cares deeply about this, but the results speak for themselves. The playbook has been written. If you don't like a project, a bus lane, a bike lane, whatever it may be, call Ingrid, and she'll kill it. It's happening time and again, and it's a problem, and it has to stop. I hope very much that the deep expertise at the Department of Transportation is respected, will be respected in this administration, and that the recommendations that your agency makes to City Hall are finally heeded and advanced and implemented. When you make recommendations in our district, in District 33, we will have your back, and I hope that we'll be able to identify more projects to work on together. But I have to ask, I still don't understand where we are on McGinnis, and I'd like confirmation. My understanding is that last week, the mayor went back on his word for the third time and has now said that no protected bike lane is moving forward on McGinnis at this time. Excuse me, no road diet is moving forward on McGinnis at this time, and that you'll assess the traffic data and reconsider. Is that true? Is a road diet happening on McGinnis Boulevard in the spring?
First of all, thank you, Councilmember, and we had years of being working together in previous role, and we know that we stand for the best to our city. On the Mayor Adams, and I can say with the Senior Advisor Ingrid Lewis, we've been getting a lot of support for projects that we have in front of us. In the case of McGinness Boulevard, yesterday we started working in McGinness Boulevard, and we built and protected bike lane.
But is a road diet happening in the spring? Just yes or no. Is a road diet happening in the spring from Meeker to Collier, as the mayor had previously announced again 2 or 3 weeks ago?
We're doing McGinness Boulevard, we are starting working the north side, and yesterday we started doing the work, and that's gonna be protected bike lane.
I just want to say how disappointed I am by the dysfunction of this administration, that y'all can't make a decision and stick to it. And a road diet was announced by the mayor himself 3 weeks ago. This was moving forward, and now we're hearing it's not. Or it might be, we don't know. It's incredibly difficult to work as a partner and to plan when the mayor changes his mind every week on projects in our community. I have one more question for you.
But we started the work at McGinness Boulevard yesterday.
But the road diet that we were promised is now disappeared. One more question, if I may, chairs, is what's the role of Richard Bierek with regard to Department of Transportation projects? What oversight does he have in reviewing and approving DOT projects relating to bike lanes, bus lanes, and other infrastructure projects that you're doing around the city?
As a commissioner, I'm responsible to lead this agency with almost 6,000 men and women that I have. Of course, we do a lot of consultation with City Hall, with many projects that we do. We're so proud that in January, Mayor Adams added $500 million to this agency.
But what's
and
Richard
last year, he
Bierek's role?
added almost 18% increase to our budget.
Commissioner, I appreciate you and I appreciate what you're trying to do. You run DOT, I'm asking about City Hall. When you have a bike lane project, or you have a bus lane project, does Richard Bierek have a role in reviewing those projects? What is his role in overseeing the Department of Transportation's work?
As a commissioner, I work with my team that I have from Eric Bittin, they're on planning, migratory operation. We had a great team.
I'm asking about City Hall. though.
I'm not getting into who I talk at City Hall, whatever we talk to at City Hall. As you that have been previous in all the administration, we know that this is not a place to be sharing who you talk to. Led by Mayor Adams, we have so much support for us to do the project.
Can I ask a different yes or no question
I'm
then?
sorry, we come back on round two because I do want to let our other colleagues ask questions. We're going to hear from Councilmember Carr, followed by Narcisse.
Thank you, Chair Brooks Powers and Chair Brewer, for holding this hearing. Commissioner, good to see you. I want to underscore just how great a relationship our office has with our Borough Commissioner and the work that we do every day to improve the quality of life for Staten Islanders and those in my district. So I thank her and everyone under her for their work. I want to focus in a little bit on the comments you made regarding bike lanes and bus lanes in Staten Island and the city at large. You know, you said earlier that we're working not to have Staten Island be forgotten in this administration. I know the mayor said that often, but sometimes I think we're happier to be forgotten on certain respects, and bike lanes and bus lanes are one of those areas. Not so much on resurfacing. We love more attention in that regard. And as you know from your time in this body, my predecessor voted against Local Law 195 when it came to the floor for a vote. And it was because he felt, and I felt too as someone who was working for him, that the agency would be pressured to meet citywide targets in communities that wasn't interested in that particular kind of improvement, namely bike lanes and bus lanes. So your comments about bringing the survey to me and my other 50 colleagues, asking us for, hey, where could we put these and work together? That's kind of proof that I think that vote at the time was correct, because I'm all for my colleagues fighting and working successfully with you for the improvements that they think are best for their streets and their neighborhoods. But in my judgment, the need for bike lanes and bus lanes beyond what we already have is zero. So I just hope that that's something that you take to heart, and it sounds to me by consulting with us up front that our opinion is important to you. But I think that these are not the kinds of improvements that we'd be seeking to have. And there are other ways, I think, in which we could collaborate to improve safety in Staten Island as well as the flow of traffic.
Well, one of the things down the Mayor Adams we've been doing is, as you described, is developing the best working relationship between commissioners and elected officials, in this case, council member. And as someone that was there for 12 years, and the last 8 being the chairman of the Committee on Transportation, I know how important it is to hear from the different council members. And sometimes we even can agree to disagree, and that's part of our job. I feel that, again, you are someone that when we have a moment to talk and discuss any projects, you say it doesn't matter the moment that we don't agree, you recognize that we had one of the best borough commissioner with Roseanne there. So I would say, let's continue that conversation. I feel that, as you say, this is something that we need to go through this exercise about where the 51 council members stand on bike lane and bus lane. Because it cannot say, you do the 30 and 50 miles, but don't bring the bike lane to my district. Don't bring the bus lane here. So at some point, again, in another following conversation, we had to look backward and revise the street master plan so that we know exactly how important are those bike lane and bus lane in your district. And as you describe it, so if we are able to know exactly how important or not for the council member, then we can have a better understanding. However, as an agency, we always will be a data-driven institution. So the opinion, the feedback in the survey is as important as community board. It's as important as the other elected official, as a PTA, as a leader of block association. But yes, this is something that we feel it is important for us to do. In order to continue planning together, it's important to establish this partnership. And as you open yourselves saying, if that's important in your districts, I think it is critical for the different 51 council members also to share how important is bike lane and bus lane or not.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Council Member Narcisse, followed by Lewis.
Thank you, Chair Yan. I want to say thank you to the bill drafter, Samuel Bridbard, and advocate that work on this bill for me, 885, Gertzman PLLC, Fines and Fees Justice Center, and of course, my staff, Saeed Joseph and Frank Shea. Commissioner, one thing I'm looking at it, when we're looking at the option, when you mentioned that the pay, like you helping by, including the pay or dispute app that allows for people to pay, that's not where I'm at. I'm at with the people that cannot pay the bills and how we gonna help them out. So that's where I'm at. I'm gonna ask you a few questions quickly because the time is on me. How does this bill help the general public? That's one. What are the complaints from the general public related to tickets? 3, will this bill impact revenue to the city? That's 3. 4, will this bill encourage New Yorkers to resolve parking tickets? And 5, will this bill have negative consequences?
Yeah, I'm gonna pass.
Take it from 1 to, so put your mic on so I can hear it.
Yes, so I'm gonna pass it to Agnes Rosin, who is the Assistant Commissioner for Payments, Billing and Refund from the Departments of Finance to answer that question.
And try to be quick on the response because it's not much to ask you. It's straightforward questions.
Thank you, Council Member, for the question. As stated in the testimony, we appreciate Council's intent to protect the respondents from the punitive measures. However, we do have concerns with the bill. You have asked whether the bill has a negative impact. We believe that it does, as it may remove the incentive from the respondents to address the violations in the timely manner, either by paying the violation or requesting a hearing. Further, the bill may put the respondents at the greater risk of default, and in addition, respondents may be subject to the enforcement, including the booting and towing, and their debt may be referred to the collections. So in the end, the respondents will end up with the higher cost to retrieve their vehicle.
How does this bill help the general public?
This bill does not help general public to address.
It doesn't help the general public?
No.
Okay. Okay. This bill will have the negative consequences. For whom? The city or the people of New York City?
We believe that this bill will have a negative impact on both, on the respondents, as they may postpone addressing the violations. It means that they may incur more penalties and judgment and interest. And if their vehicle are booted or towed, there are some fees related to those acts to retrieve the car from the tow pounds. And when it comes to the negative impact for the city, there is a negative impact on the potential on the revenue, as the second and the third penalties may be removed.
We can agree to disagree all day around this, but at the end of the day, you see so many of my colleagues sign on the bill, so it's not something that is, we represent people that are complaining, that have a hardship right now in New York City. That's the reason of this bill too. What steps are being taken to address the 14.3% staff reduction in the Transportation and Planning Management Division?
Yeah, I think that's for us, right? So I'm Deputy Commissioner for Transportation, Planning and Management, and obviously at the, as we all went through COVID and the budget issues associated with that, we did lose a lot of staff. I'm very happy to say that we've been hiring quite a number of staff back as well over the past year, where we feel like we are really building those ranks, and we're doing it with some really, really amazing people who are excited about all the work we do, people who know how to design streets and work with communities, and also people who we feel like really are representative of the city as a whole. We've put a lot of effort into making sure that we are hiring a diverse staff, and as well as a highly qualified one. So we have been hiring a lot of people, and we're going to keep working to make sure we build the staff that we need.
Okay, what resources or support does DOT need from us? Because right now I hear that I don't even know the role of the street plan director, and why they're not here in the room to answer the question of our chair. So I'm wondering where can we fit to support you? On that note, I have to talk about my Canarsie before you answer that. Seaview Canarsie, people are complaining a lot. We need to review that street because on weekend they have no place to park. All the residents around the parks, and the parks is not only Canarsie Parks, it's being used from folks all over around the city. So please look at that. The street. And one of the things that I spoke before is about the humps. I understand the bumps may be extra money, but in the meanwhile, if we could use the rubber, I think they're looking at, so to ease some of the street, because we have some large street and long street, in, especially in Canarsie Mill Basin area, if we can improve in that. And thank you for all the works that you've been doing around, and thank you for your visit in our district. We live in the transportation desert. I heard you saying about this bus stop and stuff. So a lot of us in the Canarsie Mill Basin area, we have a difficult time because most of us are driving because we cannot get around. So we cannot do one size fit all. That's all I can say. And thank you, Chair. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. So we look into, as I say to you, council member, when I walk your district, and I think that I have worked with through most of the council member districts and anyone that is left. I already have my team to coordinate it with the staff so that, you know, we go through each council member in here, like from a speed bump to all the need that is needed. You know, with the speed bump, we're working hard at DOT to be sure that any request that we have in front of us, we go through. One of the things, as a former members of the BMT and leadership, we also know that as a city, we have limited resources. It's not only about DOTs, and we're going through a financial challenges right now. You know, from the Bloomberg time when I served my years, at that time in de Blasio, all administration been going through some PEC, and this is a moment when we're also going through those PEC, and under this mayor and us, we are responsible to continue reorganizing, you know, our agencies to be sure that any reduction that we made in any agency doesn't affect the services that we provide. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Brooks Powers and Brewer. Thank you, Commissioner, for being here today with your team. I have 3 questions and 2 comments, so I'll just spitfire those. Under the DOT street plan, the 50 miles DOT has to install, do you have the amount that's proposed for Brooklyn? Has DOT, the second question is, has DOT avoided in your design plan private driveways for homes within the 5 boroughs? But I'll speak about Brooklyn right now. Has that been included in your process? And the other question that I have is under the streets plan again, is in regards to restructuring Flatbush.
Councilmember, that 15 miles, a bike lane, which is the one that you said, the first one?
The bike lanes, and I've had this conversation with your staff before, but never got a response, so maybe we could do that here today. Within the bike lanes that has to be installed, has DOT figured out a way to redesign and avoid private driveways for people's private homes? I'm gonna go to the third question. The third question is under the streets plan again, has DOT considered a redesign or restructuring of Flatbush Avenue? Because you've come to my district, the chair has come to my district to Flatbush Avenue, where we have a lot of cases of fatalities on Flatbush Avenue. So if you're creating a streets plan, I wanted to know if there's gonna be a redesign or restructuring effort on Flatbush Avenue to address the issues that you've seen with your staff. And then I'll go to my comment now. My comment is in regards to car share. Commissioner, you stated today in your statement to us that you want to work with my colleagues and I and the council, and I know that you have on several occasions, but your staff doesn't do the same thing. So when it comes to implementation of car share, we were not made aware, it was not equitable, and we did not get advance notice. So with that being said, I know you came to the district and had a walkthrough, and I appreciate that. Car share does not work for districts like Council District 45 and Council District 46. So we would like to have a real equitable conversation about how to remove car share. Those are my questions.
Councilman, before answer the question on the car share, on the bike lane, your question is coming from concern that we have not done the 15 miles or the concern of where we are looking to do those bike lanes?
The first question was in regards to the proposed locations in Brooklyn, and I'm thinking about my district right now when I share that with you, but in addition to that, are you avoiding private driveways of private homes to ensure that those bike lanes are not interfering with people's driveways?
We are, as you know, I went back and I work also with Assembly Member Bishop, where there are also members of your staff there, and we talk about it. Our Brooklyn Borough Commissioner, Keith, he was there too, and we left some on the members of our team to meeting with your staff, the staff of Assembly members, Community Board. So we will looking at area where we were proposing to do the bike lane. One of the things that we definitely do is to go back and continue the consultation with the council member, the elected official. And sometimes when we build the bike lane, it's about building the connections, and it will require for both, for we as a DOT to be open for suggestion, as also for the colleague in government, this council member, to understand that sometimes we have to do projects that sometimes that's not popular. When I did the bike lane at Dyckman, most people were against it. All elected officials were against it.
So, Commissioner, with all due respect, I'm not talking about popularity. If you have to implement bike lanes, do what you have to do. It's your job. What I'm asking is, if there's bike lanes being implemented in particular parts, I'm going to talk about Brooklyn right now, and I'm going to talk about my district. If there's a private home there and there's a bike lane blocking the person getting out of their driveway, that's a problem. I don't think your team is thinking about that. So it's either you're putting the streets plan manager on this panel to answer questions that the chairs had earlier so that we could get questions like mine and theirs answered, or we're not having conversations about popularity. It's about, is this within the design? And I know you don't have the answer right now because in the beginning of the statement and the conversations, you all said that you didn't have numbers. So maybe the streets plan manager can come up here and have conversations with us about what this is supposed to look like.
First of all, I have the person who oversees the whole thing on the planning, Eric Victor, and he will answer that question.
Sure, and just to be clear, the streets plan director reports to me, and that's why I'm up here. It's under my purview.
Okay, so you should be able to answer the questions that we've had from the beginning of this. Because this is not about the commissioner, this is not about popularity. We need numbers. And don't tell us you're gonna email to us afterwards because you're still not gonna have it. My constituents are watching right now, and I'm asking the questions because they're expecting a response. If you're a private homeowner, whether the project is popular or not, you need to accommodate them as well in your design. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. So just since you don't have the numbers, that means it's not done yet, add it in. Add in a design and a structure that makes sense for homeowners.
Sure, and we hear you very clearly. When we design a bike lane, whether it's a protected bike lane or an unprotected bike lane, we do look at every driveway on the street, and we have a design standard of making sure we provide enough space for people to get in and out. From what you're saying, it sounds like we may have an issue somewhere, and so we'd love to follow up.
We had an issue a long time ago. What I'm saying is, we don't have to go back and forth. There's other people that ask questions. Add in your design to avoid private homes in Council District 45 and 46. Because we had this conversation with this agency several times. It's falling on deaf ears. And you don't want the protest in front of your office in your home. So let's talk about it right now. Include it in your design. Because you don't have the numbers, that means it's not done yet, add it in. When it comes to car share, we would like some of those spaces removed. Those are all the questions I have. I'm going to yield my time and give it back to the chairs. Thank you.
But for clarity, just for the public, the elected, and everyone to leave with, the accurate information, which is about, we went to Brooklyn, I went there personally. We met with the elected official from that area. The question about those bike lane in front of the private street houses came to us. We're working on it. The question about the car share also came. We were working on it. And I believe so definitely there's going to be a moment where, definitely whatever we do, I can say there's no another agency in the nation that had the best qualified top engineer working from the bottom to the top on project that we require for us to redesign a street. So, but more than happy again to follow any particular concern in any area. We are more than happy to take and follow with you, council member.
Thank you. Next, we're going to have some remarks by the public advocate.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity. This is actually my opening statement, and I thank you for giving me an opportunity. Obviously, I see there's some back and forth going on, so hopefully this will make some sense still. As I mentioned, my name is Jemina Williams. I'm the public advocate of the City of New York. I want to thank Chair Brooks Powers and Chair Brewer and members of the committees on transportation, infrastructure, and oversight and investigation for holding this hearing. Always a pleasure to be here with Commissioner Rodriguez. We caused some trouble back in the day in the City Council. Seemed like there's still some trouble here. You're on the other side of it now. Today, the committees will hear several bills, including Introduction 0738, my bill that would require the Department of Transportation, DOT, to consider the placement of traffic enforcement agents in the development of an interagency roadway safety plan. In 2011, Local Law 12 was enacted, which required DOT to develop an interagency plan to improve roadway safety and reduce incidents of traffic violations, crashes, injuries, and fatalities, and for the plan to be updated every 5 years. My bill would be in addition to the existing law that also stipulates that the plan identifies ongoing recommendations and proposals to improve roadway safety. Traffic enforcement agents' placements would be one of the suggestions and considerations for reducing crashes. As we know, traffic enforcement agents are integral to keeping traffic flowing and New Yorkers where they need to go. And explicitly naming their roles and placement as part of a greater safety plan is a much-needed addition to what is already required of the DOT. Additionally, the committees are also hearing Introduction 0885, of which I am a co-sponsor. The bill would provide for the automatic waiver of certain additional penalties for parking violations if the vehicle owner responds to a notice of violation 45 to 90 days after its issuance. Currently, if a vehicle owner responds more than 45 days but less than 76 days from the date of the notice, they are subject to an additional penalty. If the owner responds more than 75 days from the date of notice, they are subject to an additional penalty on top of the prior penalties. This bill would amend this current penalty system, recognizing that if the vehicle owner makes a concerted effort between 45 to 90 days, the issuance of the violation notice, the aforementioned additional penalties would be waived. Today, I spoke of two bills that cover two different issues, fall under the scope of transportation infrastructure and the system in place that affects New Yorkers' daily lives, whether you're a pedestrian or a driver. And I'll end my comments here and hope that the administration and the council will support those bills. Thank you.
Thank you, Public Advocate. We're going to go into round 2 of questions. I just want to pick up on Vision Zero and street safety. A report from earlier this week indicated that people in the 10 council districts with the highest poverty rates were nearly a quarter more likely to be seriously injured compared to the average district. Moreover, the 10 districts with the most people of color were 15% more likely to suffer serious traffic injuries compared to the average district. How does DOT consider this information when determining where to situate street safety infrastructure?
As a public advocate, we've been, in this responsibility for many years in different roles. One thing that I got to say with this number is that, first of all, we need to, and again, because there have been years of working together, years of the council administration putting the resources, that since 2014 to today, when it came to the numbers of pedestrians losing their life in our street, we are in the lowest number because of the work that we do on Vision Zero, from the engineer redesigning, education on Vision Zero, and also collaborating with the NYPD from the enforcement side. So I feel, again, when it comes to those data, we look at these numbers by the end of this year, and I can tell you this number on severe injuries. 2019, we had 2,375. 220, we had 2,089. 2021, we had 1,926. 2022, we had 1,761, 1,761. This year, because we have not get to the end of this year, we are higher than last year with 1,840. But that's why sometimes the data that we collect is more accurate when we get to the end of this year. So we're hoping that we will continue having a good year, one severe injury too many, one person dying too many. And for Mayor Adams and Knapp, being able to take this year with the lowest numbers of pedestrian fatality is a big accomplishment for our city. And we hope again that this data that TA, advocate group that we work closely in many areas, we disagree for them to be putting these numbers so far by now, because when the number is not accurate if we don't get up to the end of the year.
Just how can someone assess how much and where pedestrian space under the streets plan is added?
So as we do that calculation, we keep a tally, and I believe it's in the update, but we can also provide those numbers, from 2022 to you if you'd like them. But,
I want to also know locations, not just the numbers. So, for example, promise for 2022, page 77, but not implemented in 2022 was pedestrian space, particularly in my district, Brookville and Edgewood. So I'm looking for locations more so in terms of how you all assess this.
Yeah, so we can do a list of how much pedestrian space by each location where we did it, and it's any space that is fully pedestrianized, so it's not shared space, it's space separated from vehicles, and we, as the commissioner said, we are guided through the priority investment areas to make sure that we're serving all over the city. We also look very closely at crash data to make sure that we are doing projects where the crashes are highest. And something that we've studied over the years is making sure that not just, as the commissioner said, that those serious crashes have been declining substantially citywide, but also that that happens all over the city. That we can break it up by income groups and by racial divisions, and we're very proud to see that we are bringing down injuries by the same amount, if not more, in low income and communities of color. So we are very focused on that, and we think we're seeing those results.
Thank you. Moving on to Equity and Streets Plan. I want to acknowledge the work that DOT has been doing to advance equity in infrastructure. We like to explore all avenues to do more. Do you agree that there are communities in this city that have historically not received enough infrastructure investments?
On his administration as a commissioner, for decades, New York City were not paying attention to underserved community. I can say that someone that was there questioning agency is the first time that we are giving so much priority to spread the investment, to look at the working class community that never received those dollars, to be sure that they are included as we redesign. As I said a few days ago, I was with DDC finishing a grant concourse, a $60 million project that has improved the safety of pedestrians and cyclists, especially senior citizens, with pedestrian island resting area. And we feel that, what we have seen in each borough, I have been from Staten Island to Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, in Manhattan, being sure that it's not only the great project that we're doing at Broadway, the Broadway Vision, which is very important, but also going across the 5 boroughs to different socio-economic, ethnic background community. So this is a top priority, Mayor Adams, again, putting the dollar, not only the word.
Do you count every street you pave and every speed hump you install?
Yes.
And do you distinguish between infrastructure spending focused on keeping people safe, like protected bike lanes and daylight infrastructure, and spending that improves comfort, like fixing roads and upgrading bus stops?
Yes, we take all of those into account. Some of them are cost more money than others. Some of them take, political will or other things more so than money. So that each one is different in its own way.
And do you track how safety metrics like accidents or serious injuries correlate with these priority investment areas? And have you found that underinvested areas are also more dangerous than average?
So we have found that there is somewhat more incidents of crashes and injuries in communities of color, and I think that relates to what the commissioner was talking about, that some of these areas have not gotten as many treatments over the years as they should have. But we are very happy that in the work that we've been doing, we have been investing in those communities, and we have been bringing down those crash and injury rates. So it's something that we look at each year to make sure that we're not just counting projects and counting miles, but that we're counting outcomes. That we want to see crashes and fatalities go down and go down equitably around the city. We want to see more people riding bikes. We want to see more people on the bus. Ultimately, that's the city that we want to see, not just the number of miles on a sheet.
Is DOT able to examine prior investment before 2011?
Yes, I think it depends on
And let me just
what
explain
area,
why.
but-
So as you know, inequity in the city is a problem with a much longer tail than 10 years, but balancing the city's investment over the past decade won't be enough to bring up the communities that have been underinvested in for hundreds of years. So wanting to know, like how you said you inherited this, wanting to kind of be able to tell the tale in terms of even a decade ago or more, what has that investment been? What is it now?
I feel that, as we mentioned a few projects that we are doing, first of all, those we can share with you, we can send you, and that has been project. We had in the previous hearing on the budget, we give you detail by detail, all the details, project to project, on how the different community, underserved community, now they've been getting the investment that they were not getting before. So I'm more than happy to send you the list of all those projects that we have done it. I feel that also, as I share about what we do in the Summer Street, that for the first time we went to Staten Island, Queens, Brooklyn, in different area. This is not only a day for community to enjoy biking, cultural entertainment. When we do those events, what we are doing also engaging the community for them to experience the benefit of walking in our street. As we will continue going back, go meeting with elected officials, community board, PTA, Black Association. Because what I feel, and I think this is something that many of us agree, is even the conversation about transportation in the past did not go, was not seen and taken from the grassroots perspective. So what is happening right now is that we are dedicating our time, we go into those communities, at the same time, and listening from them, their feedback, what is important for them. But also, we've been doing a number of projects. Back in November, I hold a press conference together with Mayor Adams, where we share with everyone how we overpass all the goals that we established at the beginning of 2022. So, and again, New York City is the leading one in the whole nation. And this one is something that probably Eric, I'd like for Eric to share about how are we doing, let's say, on bike lane compared to other cities.
Sure. Just as the commissioner said, we do feel like we're doing a tremendous amount, that we're doing more than any other city in the United States and more than most of those other cities combined. So we hear you. We want to do more. We're always striving towards all these goals. But we think we can be very proud of the work that we're putting out on the street, both in terms of the quantity, the quality, in terms of using more concrete on bike lanes, not just doing miles for miles, and again in the outcomes, that we're seeing record numbers of New Yorkers on bikes, that we're seeing incredibly low numbers of pedestrian fatalities. We think that the amount of work we're doing is really paying off in those results.
And Chair, I want to highlight also how also we work with some partner, like here we have Ken Baxiba from Bike New York, that not only we are so proud for Bike New York to hold the largest bike tour in the nation and the second largest one in the whole world, but also how his institution is working in partnership with DOT, training inmates coming from Rikers Island to give them a second chance, learning to be mechanic. how they also partnered with Biketober, on how during the month of September, October, we're going across community, especially underserved community, to expose adults that have never had the experience on how to ride the bike, for them to ride the bike, but also to learn the benefit of biking. To understand that biking cannot be something only of upper class, middle class, people with high level academic degree, but the working class has to see that when they bike, they're healthier, it's good for the environment, and it's good for the economy too. So
And how long will it take DOT to significantly raise the level of investment in historically underinvested areas to the point that they are on par with the city average?
This is a social class discussion. This is something that we hope that in our time, as elected officials and serving administration, some in administration, or they came back to now elective, and any change we make, you know, this city has not a priority. We did the outdoor diner. And you know, before COVID, the outdoor diners known as the sidewalk was only, most of them, more than 80%, they were down 59th Street. Now we have the outdoor diner, which is in the 5 boroughs. We're giving the opportunity to working class community to know having a restaurant with a table and a chair in a community that you didn't have it before is something that is your right. So we will commit it. We're committed, and again, more than happy that you continue making us accountable for us to accomplish those goals. But I can tell you is that on Mayor Adams' leadership, this equity is not a word, it's an action.
So what measures or initiatives do you have in the pipeline to accelerate progress towards this goal?
Eric can, you know, share more few details, but I can tell you that, as I said, I took this agency, and again, I did 27 miles of bike lane last year. On the Commissioner Janet on the Bloomberg, she did 7. But I would not be able to be in 27 miles without Bloomberg administration to start at the 7 mile. So one of the things that we also celebrate in the city is the value of continuity. And we feel again that, you know, there's many areas that we will continue. What community want is project. Community wants to be sure that we develop, improving safety in the intersection. That pedestrians are, as they are right now, in the safest year. And I want for the advocate to highlight that part. Since 2014 to today, look at the traffic data of fatality on pedestrians. That's the result of TA, Family for Safer Street, going to Albany. We working together, DOT, council member, putting the resources. And sometimes we work so hard and we don't stop to celebrate those changes that we make. Yes, we are dealing with some also cyclists, unfortunately, losing their life. But there's an increase of more cyclists. As we say, 200 million bike ridership in 2022. It's the biggest number. And that's why we are working so hard to redesign, to do more bike lane, to do more protected bike lane. So this is a word, again, sometimes when you look at the number, New York City has more bike lane than even 3 or 4 cities together in this nation. We are the role model that all the cities are looking at us, and we will continue working together, but it will take time. It will not happen overnight, but we're proud of all the accomplishment that we've been able to produce under our time in Mayor Adams' administration.
Thank you. It would be great to know, once DOT has identified what measures or initiatives, what they are. In terms of other bills that we have being heard today, I just want to ask a few brief questions before I pass it on to Chair Brewer. Regarding Intro 261, will DOT be considering curb extensions as a part of their new curb management plan?
If you don't mind. So the answer is yes. Like,
Okay.
like one.
No, great.
Great.
Regarding Intro 738, when was the last interagency roadway safety plan released? What is the process for developing that plan?
So this plan has been incorporated into our Vision Zero geography updates. So we released the most recent one of those earlier this year, and we are continuing to do it. I believe the public advocate had a bill. We were working with him on a schedule But, so we tend to do it every 3 or 4 years. But, you know, we work with the police department much more often than that, right? We have a standing monthly meeting where we talk about things like TEA placement, as well as many other individual interactions.
Regarding Intro 1026, has DOT considered locations for a potential bus depot in Flushing? And are there any concerns?
First of all, that's the DOT, that's the MTA responsibility, as you know. We are more than happy to be part of any task force, but this has to be a leading initiative by them.
Thank you for that. And regarding Intro 885, what concerns does the Department of Finance have about implementing such a program?
Looking from the respondent's perspective, we believe that the respondent will postpone addressing the violations, and in the end, they may pay additional penalties. And tickets will also accrue interest.
Okay. I think the way I took it in was that they're acknowledging this fine and there's an intention to pay it. It's given a little bit more room, but you're thinking that they may use that time and still not pay?
Yes.
And then I have to ask this question of DOT because a few of my constituents asked me this morning on my way here, and I know they're probably watching. In terms of the street signs in our community, a lot of them are faded. And, you know, there have been members of the community that have called and asked for the signs to be changed out. And they've been told by DOT to go in the community and survey it and then let them know where these need to be done. Is there anyone in DOT responsible for looking at these signs, like in terms of the maintenance aspect, to know when these signs need to change out? Because in Southeast Queens in particular, there are a lot of intersections that are either missing signs or they have faded signs where you cannot see them.
First of all, we have great borough commissioners. I can say most of them, if not all of them, they're here. And the reason why...
Where's Commissioner Garcia? Okay, just making sure mine is accounted for.
One of the things that since the first hearing I do is to be sure when I hear all my commissioners are here so that they can follow up. It's about building trust and the type of work between commissioners, Mike as a commissioner and you as a council member. So I think that we do a great job. With the number of street signs that we had, there's so many, we do the inspection through those, but more than happy again, if there's any particular case, the Board of Commissioners
We have
should
a
be able
few.
to follow
So
it.
Commissioner Garcia, I believe my staff has sent it to you. We could do a pull aside here so you could give me an update on it, but I know they've already submitted some locations specific to my district. Also, I know the bike lane on Beach 20th Street has been a major contentious issue there. And I know DOT was looking to work on that. Is there any updates in terms of what's happening there?
Yes, we've definitely heard about that, the issues there, and we've seen it ourselves. I think we're trying to get out very quickly and get some green paint down, just because we realize it's not as clear as it should be that it's even a bike lane. You know, it's hard to blame people for parking in it when.
But also there's a hump, so seniors are tripping on it. And then I want to know, was the fire department from the big house that's located right on Central, were they consulted when you selected that location? That's generally the major corridor to get to St. John's Hospital for them. And I have video where they cannot get down that block in emergencies. And it has increased their response time to emergencies on the peninsula.
Yeah, so the answer is as part of every capital project, we review it in detail with the fire department. They get everyone to review. We take their comments, we take them seriously and incorporate them. That said, if a project gets built and we see issues, we recognize we need to go back and make changes. You know, for example, on that corridor, we've been adding a lot of free loading zones to try to reduce the double parking and make it easier for that street to get through. So I think we are actively responding to it, but I think we're happy to sort of keep working until it's right.
Some of the feedback I've gotten from the fire department in particular has been they are often not consulted or consulted very late in the planning stage of it. In the peninsula, where, you know, we're a peninsula. You have to build differently there. And so I definitely want to be engaged in the next steps for that, and make sure that they're at the table as well, because to hear that there's an increase in response times is concerning to me. And also in terms of traffic, yesterday it took me more than 43 minutes to get from Auburn to downtown Far Rockaway. We know that Edgemere Avenue is having a much needed construction being done, which will raise and expand. Edgemere Avenue is our evacuation route on the peninsula. That's first. A stretch of Edgemere Avenue is closed due to construction. There are no bodies that are out there to direct traffic. The flow of traffic has been severely impacted, I would say. If you drive down, and I've gone both ways, where I've gone down Rockaway Beach Boulevard onto Edgemere Avenue and then cut under the freeway where it's closed, it's traffic. You come down Seagirt because we've lost the lane on both sides for the bike lane that's parallel to the protected bike lane on the boardwalk. There's traffic. The line is blocks long to be able to make a turn or to go straight. Then yesterday, I decided, let me try going down Beach Channel, because everybody seems to be on the other side, right? Well, turning on to Beach Channel from around the 80s, the line for that was super long. The entire stretch of Beach Channel had traffic on both sides. If there was ever an emergency, the fire truck could not get through what I saw yesterday. An ambulance could not get through what I saw yesterday. We need to see, and I understand that this is going to take cooperation with the, my understanding from the response I got from the borough commissioner is the developers. But DOT, which is why I advocated with you in terms of having the street dining under your discretion, is because DOT is responsible for our streets and the management of it. And so even though there's a private construction project happening right now that's in partnership with DOT, DOT has a role as well to manage this traffic. And we need to put a task force together with emergency services, with DOT and the contractor to work this out. School is back in session, people are back at work. This is an unsafe situation. When we had Winter Storm, I think it was Elliott, I forgot the name at this point, in December, we were literally stranded on that peninsula for that day. All bridges were shut, we could not get off that peninsula. We have one hospital on that peninsula, none that's a trauma. We need to be able to get off that peninsula in case of an emergency, especially right now in hurricane season. So this is an urgent, dire situation. I need this meeting to happen as soon as possible. I requested it. I don't feel like I got the sense of urgency that I'm sharing with you right now, but experiencing Beach Channel yesterday, we have to do something.
I'm happy to follow with you, council member, and as you say, it's important also to bring the developer, because sometimes when they plan any major construction.
And they're willing, I talk to them regularly, they're willing to come to the table.
Yes, they will, yeah, so that's important, because as you know, we did the rezoning in Inglewood, and there's many projects. One of the things that is important for developers is to be responsible to help with that piece related to, you know, how they are going to be doing taking care on construction, also, you know, contribute to a obstacle for traffic, things like that, but more than happy to follow with you.
Thank you. So that was my councilwoman role. Passing it on to Chair Brewer.
Thank you very much. I want to thank Ed Pinkar, Manhattan coordinator, for all of his work, and also thank you for your focus on curb planning on Columbus Avenue. I think that's part of the study that you were talking about earlier. So just in terms of numbers, I think this is all in the report for 2022 that came out in February. But if you talk first about bus lanes, 150 supposed to be built over 5 years with at least 20 miles in the first and 30 in the subsequent. So far, 6.8. Is that the correct number as far as you know?
Yes, that's for the protected, the one that's in the law.
Yep. And in terms of transit signal priority at 750 intersections during the first year, 1,000 intersections 281, is that the correct number?
281 completed last year.
It says, according to, again, my data may be wrong, it would have been done in 2022 for the report, February 23.
I want to check that with my
Okay.
team, because I think we were very close, if not at the 750.
Okay, that's helpful to know. 250, this is the bike lanes, which is done quite well. 250 miles of protected over 5 years, 30 miles in the first year, 50, and you've done 26.3.
That's right. It was about 26, and in addition, we had done another 10 miles of Jersey barrier protected lanes.
Okay, that's good to know. Bus stop upgrades, we talked about this earlier, the benches, the shelters, the real-time information at 500 bus stops each year, and so far 14.
That's right. We're working on the contract to do more of the real-time information.
Right, we talked about that earlier. Redesigning of at least 2,000 signalized intersections over 5 years with at least 400 redesigns each year, and I'm not sure what that number is. Do you know?
So we'll get the exact number, but last year we well exceeded that. I think we were over 1,400 intersections redesigned.
Okay, I have
Real
1813, but I don't know if that's correct, so, but you let us know.
1,600.
1,600? Okay. And then APS, which of course, something that I started many years ago. I feel very strongly for those who are visually challenged. APS is at no fewer than 2,500 intersections with at least 500 each year. I have 494.
Right, so I think we're just below.
Right, so that's good. All right. Then the other question I have is, just in terms of the funding, obviously you talked a little bit about the contracts for the bus shelters, they cost more. So do you have enough money to do, say for instance, leaving that aside, the other projects? Are they all more expensive? Are you within the ballpark of the capital funding?
So I think what we say is we have been very well funded in this administration. Money isn't our real problem, right? As the commissioner said, it's getting the local support, it's being able to do that work to move it forward. Because so much of our work is done in-house, it's flexible and it's relatively inexpensive. It's certainly not free, but we feel like we've been well funded, and the constraints are much more around political support. There's the issues like the facility space that we need to work through. But we are very grateful and thankful that we've been so well funded under this administration.
So it's mostly the political support. And then finally, what is the date certain? Because we talked earlier about getting data and contracts after this hearing. Can you give us a date as to when we'll be able to get contracts and data?
I mean, as soon as we can pull it, there's no reason to.
That's on the contract side. Like 2 weeks, is that reasonable?
I think that's fine.
Okay, and then some of this data, would that be in the same time period?
We'll have to follow up on that.
Okay, all right, thank you. Councilmember Ressler.
Thank you very much. I just want to come back to where I left off and then have a couple other questions if possible. So I was asking about Richard Bierek and his role in overseeing, in approving, reviewing, overseeing DOT projects. Does Richard have a role consistently in overseeing DOT projects?
We report to Deputy Mayor Yoshi. In that process, we do consultation with many members of City Hall.
Okay. I'll leave it at that for today. But I just have to underscore, well, I'll ask a question. Maybe I'll come at this a different way. What do you think? It seems like we've got a ways to go to catch up in reaching our goals for the Master Streets Plan. Commissioner, what do you think is the single greatest challenge for us to achieve these ambitious targets?
It had to do with council member support in each district.
So,
and if you don't mind, let me explain the why. Let's say, I think that definitely, you've been champion in McGuinness Boulevard and been going, we can say here, but here with this, the political support, but we've been there. And even yesterday we started construction. But sometimes Sometimes, like, and in many occasions, we go to different districts, and there's not political support.
I appreciate it. You answered the question. I'd like to make 2 points. One, in District 33, where I and every single elected official, state assembly, state senate, Congress, borough president, controller, public advocate, the neighboring elected officials, each and every one of us have expressed support for the road diet on McGinnis Boulevard. But the mayor changed his mind again on Friday and is no longer supporting it. And yet, in another district, if a council member sneezes at a project, you all are taking a different tact and deferring to the council member, or deferring to other elected officials. Ultimately, isn't it DOT's job to make the decisions to implement the projects that can make our streets safe? Why do you need to defer to an influential donor or an elected official who has concerns?
Remember, you've been in this side working for the administration before, and you know that sometimes there's projects that take longer than administration want to. I know that you've been involved in many of those projects before. I'm proud how previous administration, they told their plan based on the Mayor Adams that we did a groundbreaking yesterday starting McGinnis Boulevard. Overall, we are committed to go toward the goal that we have with the Street Master Plan. We're proud how this administration is dealing with equity. Many previous ones, they talk about it. This time, we increased NWB to 21%. We bring diversity in the leadership of this agency. We're doing overpassing, raising crosswalk, a speed bump, redesigning the street in communities that they never get those investments before. So, and today, many cities across the globe, they're just looking at New York City as a role model. When there's a trend or increase of fatality in the whole nation, New York City is leading by number. So I think that we're doing a great job, and this is the result of so many hard work by council member, advocate, administration, and this is the way of how I think that we should continue planning together, supporting, being real partnership when it comes to supporting projects that we need, not only for the Street Master Plan that involve the bus lane and bike lane. The council has never included open street in the Street Master Plan. The council has never taken back and say, what other changes should we make on the Street Master Plan? To say last year we did 216 open street. This year, I don't know by how many, but my thing is instructed to do everything to overpass those 216 open street that we did. For many years, only the middle class were able to enjoy the summer street. This year, we're going to the underserved community. Like Mayor Adams took few of those open streets and he said, Quisqueya Plaza, you will have this $7 million to build it. But he did the same thing in the Bronx. He's doing the same thing in Brooklyn. So I'm proud on how the money is following the commitment of Mayor Adams and our administration to address equity in our city.
Commissioner, I appreciate the point. I appreciate much of the work that's happening in the 33rd. We've got a new busway moving forward on Livingston. We got a great new protected bike lane on Skirmerhorn. There will be a protected bike lane on McGinnis. Many other projects that are moving forward that are good. I will continue to be a champion for smart projects from the expert teams at DOT. But I want to be clear. The dysfunction at City Hall and the mayor going back on his word for the third time on McGinnis is not a victory. Killing a road diet on McGinnis is not a victory. It is an extraordinary defeat for the Department of Transportation and for the Greenpoint community. And the coalition that has championed this plan and worked with the experts at your agency to craft it and develop it and see it advanced and see the mayor support it, change his mind. Support it, change his mind, and now seemingly change his mind one more time against it, is the furthest thing from a victory. We will fight and fight and fight until that road diet is implemented. But ultimately, it is up to the mayor and it is up to DOT to push forward on projects that will speed buses up, that will make cycling safe and achieve the network of protected bike lanes that we need. You all need to get this work done. And I will encourage my colleagues to stand with you just like I do, but ultimately the buck stops on the other side of City Hall and these projects need to move. And he needs to respect the expertise of the Department of Transportation and the recommendations that you all make for how we can make our streets safe. I certainly do, and I hope that the mayor finally will as well. Thank you.
for pedestrian and cyclists is a top priority for Mayor Adams. He has said the traffic violence is similar to gun violence, and the numbers speak by itself on how we're improving safety for pedestrian and cycling. That's why many cities in this nation are looking at the great job that we're doing here at DOT.
But we're seeing project after project get killed by the political operation at City Hall. He says that he believes in these things, but the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the results. And I know that you want to do these projects. Your heart is in the right place completely, and your team is good. You've hired good people. The agency is trying, but the political side of City Hall is killing at project after project, and our city is hurting as a result of it. People will die as a result of it.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Commissioner, and to the DOT team and Department of Finance for coming today. I hope that the next hearing we have, we are able to talk through some real numbers. We know that these hearings don't happen every single day, and we all have a responsibility. And our responsibility is oversight and making sure that the agencies are doing what they're supposed to do, and that in this case, it's upholding the law and the mandate. And so we will be following up with the areas that we were unable to get numbers, and I hope that in the response this time, we get some numbers. So thank you once again. Now we will move to, thank you. Now we'll move to public testimony.
We will now turn to public testimony. Each panelist will be given 2 minutes to speak. For panelists testifying in person, please come to the dais as your name is called and wait for your turn to speak. For panelists who are testifying remotely, once your name is called, a member of our staff will unmute you and the Sergeant-at-Arms will give you the go-ahead to begin. Please wait for the Sergeant-at-Arms to announce that you may begin before delivering your testimony. We'll begin with in-person testimony. As mentioned, first we'll have Jean Ryan, Alia Sumro, Elizabeth Adams, and Kate Brockwell. Thanks all. We'll begin with Jean Ryan, and you may begin when ready.
Hi, I'm Jean Ryan, President of Disabled in Action of Metropolitan New York. We're in support of Intro 261-22, but we think it's just a drop in a very big bucket, and we think that way more daylighting needs to happen. Every day, pedestrians are hurt or have very close calls crossing the street in the crosswalk. Some are killed, like the woman in Chinatown last Friday who was run over by an accessorized vehicle. Daylighting should be everywhere where a vehicle could turn into an intersection. Oversight issue, and then I'm moving on to oversight issues, and it's not a complete list. DOT needs to step up and do better in the following ways. fix missing or non-ADA compliant pedestrian ramps faster in all neighborhoods in all boroughs. For example, Broadway in Manhattan was surveyed in 2015 by then Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer, and most corners were unacceptable. 8 years later, conditions are the same, and many corners are totally not able to be traversed in a wheelchair, and we must go in the street with traffic. That's dangerous, and we all know that. Another thing that DOT needs to do is set all traffic lights to give seniors and people with disabilities a fair chance at safely crossing the street by using leading pedestrian intervals as well as walking speeds set to 2.5 feet per second instead of the current settings of 3.5 to 4 feet per second. DOT must do daylighting at every intersection so pedestrians can be safe. Absolutely do not allow any parking at any T intersection pedestrian ramps. Fix inaccessible bus stops, such as the ones on Shore Road and Bay Ridge. Fix broken sidewalks and have a better program to correct sidewalks. And redo streets and roads that have more potholes and patches on them than smooth surfaces. Thank you.
Thanks. You may proceed. The order that it was called in, Aaliyah. Okay, thanks.
No worries. Good afternoon. My name is Alia Sumro, and I'm the Deputy Director for New York City Policy at the New York League of Conservation Voters. Thank you, Chair Brooks Powers and Brewer, as well as members of the Committees on Transportation and Investigation for the opportunity to testify today. I have submitted longer written comments online. NYLCV believes that all New Yorkers should have access to clean and sustainable modes of transportation to improve our city's air quality and combat climate change. Efficient and accessible mass transit, pedestrian and cyclist safety, and smart street design are crucial to achieving these goals. NYLCV fully supported the passage of Local Law 195 in 2019, which directed DOT to issue and implement a transportation master plan every 5 years to improve the safety, accessibility, and quality of the city's streets for all New Yorkers. With a comprehensive citywide vision, New Yorkers can more easily pursue sustainable and safer modes of transportation, move away from our dependency on vehicles, reduce air pollution, and breathe cleaner air as a result. This law is also another tool to help our city reduce greenhouse gas emissions and help the states meet its greenhouse gas reduction goals laid out in the CLCPA. Lastly, implementing the NYC Streets Plan is vital as we near the full implementation of congestion pricing. While the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted many aspects of the plan's initial implementation, we urge the city to get back on track and timely and equitably implement installing protected bus and bike lanes. The city is far behind on many milestones laid out in the Streets Plan. For instance, although the 2022 benchmark target for protected bus lanes was 20 miles, only 4.4 were completed last year. Moreover, as we near the implementation of congestion pricing, now is the time to improve mass transit and micromobility. Simply put, congestion pricing will not result in the declines of congestion and air pollution that we expect and need if the city does not invest in protected bus and bike lanes as well. The investments that London made in buses ahead of their congestion pricing plan taking effect, and the investments in both buses and bikes that they made throughout the program's existence are instructive for New York. Timely implementing the New York City Streets Plan is more crucial than ever if we are to improve safety, accessibility, and the quality of our transportation network. We urge the city to fully and equitably implement it. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
We've also been joined by Council Member Velasquez.
Good afternoon. Thank you to Chairs Brooks Powers, Chair Brewer, and to the committees. I'm Elizabeth Adams, Deputy Executive Director for Public Affairs at Transportation Alternatives. The Streets Plan was enacted by a supermajority City Council vote because it recognized that for far too long, we've not been using our streets in service of our communities. It recognized that there is a better way to design our public space and put the interests of millions of transit riders, pedestrians, and our city's mobility needs front and center. It is a legal requirement that includes mandated yearly benchmarks. I want to thank the chairs for pushing on this point, because as of now, we are even further behind on our 2023 bus requirements than we were at this point last year, and we never even met our 2022 goals requirements. In addition to the 30 required bus lane miles and the 50 required protected bike lane miles, we also need to implement 1 million square feet of new pedestrian space by the end of this year. It is already September. The hesitancy to provide even basic numbers of progress is alarming. They're annual metrics for a reason, so that we don't continue an outdated system of ad hoc piecemeal measures, but so we have a real citywide network with better bus access, better pedestrian green space, and safer bike infrastructure, no matter what zip code you live in. The benefit of a legal mandate is that it has to happen regardless of individual pushback or conversation. So we don't have to relitigate the benefits of basic street safety infrastructure every single time a project is proposed. We want to see every council member pushing for pedestrian safety and bike and bus lanes in their district. We also cannot let politics overrule the law. And I want to note that there are a number of projects, which was raised earlier, that have moved through community board approval, have checked off all the local outreach, and are still being stalled today. We need projects in the ground now for the safety and well-being of all New Yorkers. Lastly, just a quick note on the legislation being heard today. We applaud Chair Brooks Powers' bill on adding an investment roadmap on the streets plan, especially with the focus on increasing investments in environmental justice communities and communities with low levels of current investment. Thank you for that. The streets plan must be implemented equitably. We also support increasing curb extensions at intersections. However, I want to note that that bill requires 5 intersections per borough per year, and DOT actually already exceeds those numbers annually, so we would recommend that the scope be significantly increased for the bill. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you to Chair Brooks Powers and the members of the Transportation and Infrastructure and the Oversight and Investigations Committees for holding this hearing. My name is Kate Brockwell. I'm a member of Families for Safe Streets, a volunteer, and co-chair of our Policy and Advocacy Committee. Families for Safe Streets is an organization composed entirely of individuals who have either lost loved ones to traffic violence or who have themselves been grievously injured. Traffic violence is a crisis that impacts so many of us. Crashes kill more New Yorkers every year than gun violence. More than 1,000 pedestrians, including 100 children, have been killed in New York City since the launch of Vision Zero in 2014. Black, Latino, and Asian New Yorkers make up a disproportionate share of those killed. In total, an astonishing 30% of New Yorkers have been injured in traffic crashes, and 70% know someone who was either injured or killed. And for every person who dies on New York City streets, 11, like me, are seriously injured. I was hit by a car on Houston Street on December 31st, 2017. It was a frigid day, 5 degrees and overcast, without a single ray of sun to potentially cause glare for me or a driver. The sidewalks and roads were dry. I was running boring holiday errands. I was in the crosswalk with the light. I saw the driver before he'd been stopped at the northwest corner of Elizabeth, and I tried to make eye contact with them. However, due to the design of the street, they were 100 feet away from me. When I was about 2/3 of the way to the median, 4,000 pounds of metal, rubber, and plastic crashed into me. The force of the vehicle hitting my leg caused something called a closed degloving injury. The shearing force tore the layers of muscle, fascia, and viscera apart from the skin and tore my lateral meniscus. I felt my leg tearing apart. When I look back on the crash, though I have a lot of trauma still about it, I also feel anger and sadness and frustration because every crash like this is preventable. In 1940, Houston Street was widened to facilitate Robert Moses' plan to build a highway connecting the Williamsburg and Manhattan bridges to the Holland Tunnel. It was a street that was dangerous by design. It's also one of hundreds of similarly designed streets across New York, a disproportionate number of which are located in lower income neighborhoods and those with majority populations that are people of color, and in the outer boroughs. These are streets that New York City must systematically redesign, prioritizing the safety of our communities while building out better transit options. Every day that we fall short of implementing the legal requirements of the street plan is a day where someone somewhere is losing a life, a limb, or the ability to sleep without nightmares due to government inaction. Toward that end, we're calling on the council to do everything within your power to ensure that these legally mandated benchmarks are kept. Thank you.
Thank you all. We'll now call up our next panel, Jolise Race, Ken Podziva, Lisa Daglian, and Michael Ring. I realize that one of those individuals may have left, so we'll call up Michael Cohen as well. Michael Cohen, yeah. We'll begin with Jolise Race.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jolise Race, and I am testifying on behalf of Riders Alliance. I'd like to thank the Committees of Transportation and Infrastructure and Oversight and Investigations for convening today to better understand how the city can work towards achieving its mandates of the New York City Streets Plan. The Streets Plan envisions sweeping changes that require the mayor and DOT to make our streets safer for pedestrians and cyclists and speed up buses for millions of riders. And the city's millions of bus riders who are taking the nation's slowest buses on congested streets every day cannot wait any longer to get this done. We are deeply concerned and dismayed that despite the Streets Plan going into effect at the beginning of last year, we've since seen progress slowed and stalled. The law states that Mayor Adams and the DOT must implement 150 miles of bus lanes and busways by 2026. So far, we've only seen a few miles completed, when in previous years, DOT was able to complete many more. Bus riders are particularly concerned that projects are being stalled due to internal politics and powerful forces who don't want any car space being taken away on city streets, particularly in neighborhoods with the greatest number of bus riders. We all know that for our city to work, bus riders, cyclists, and pedestrians need space on our city streets too. And on Fordham Road, where 85,000 bus riders are stuck waiting in extreme summer heat only to board crowded buses, we've seen wealthy business owners and lobbyists who don't even live in New York City exert political influence to derail a project that would help so many riders right away. This is on a corridor where the vast majority of people rely on public transit every day, and where more than 70% of constituents support the project. Riders Alliance alone has organized over 1,000 bus riders in support of this project. What we are missing is real leadership to get these projects done, to make sure that the majority voice of transit riders is heard and not drowned out by well-funded local interest groups. We are here to ask that Mayor Adams and the City Council members to commit to meeting the mandates of the Streets Plan and giving critical projects like Fordham Road the green light. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Lisa Dagley. I'm the Executive Director of the Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee to the MTA, PCAC. PCAC is the official voice of riders of New York City subways, buses, and the Staten Island Rail, Long Island Railroad, and Metro North. We thank you very much for holding this hearing today on issues that are critical to transit riders around the 5 boroughs. When the Streets Plan was first introduced, we were thrilled to hear about the city's ambitious pledge and legal requirement for 150 miles of new bus lanes and busways by the end of 2025. Bus lanes and busways have proven to substantially speed up buses. And with New York City's buses among the slowest in the nation, we can't wait until they can finally move faster than a chicken, which you may know can move up to 9 miles an hour. Buses don't go that fast. We've heard from riders, and we've all experienced the frustration, inconvenience, and real-life consequences of riding in a bus and being stalled, delayed, and just stuck behind cars, trucks, and delivery vehicles. The Street Plan commitments, when enacted, will make a major difference for riders, and we're counting on the mayor and city DOT to ensure their milestones are met, and we're asking you to enforce those. A plan without action is a piece of paper. Fordham Road is a busway whose time has come, and that has to happen. Otherwise, tens of thousands of people are inconvenienced for the politics that are holding it up. Unfortunately, we've heard today extensively that the city is currently far behind its streets plan bus lane targets. We've heard it extensively, but with frustrating little detail. Bus stop upgrades are also sorely behind schedules. We propose expanding zoning for accessibility to include bus stop upgrades to incentivize developers to foot the bill and complete installation where there may not be an eligible subway station nearby. We support many of the intros that are being discussed today, as they will help to improve street safety, access to curbs and buses, and to transit itself. We do not support the intro 0885-2023 that would waive some penalties for parking violations. As transit riders, we strongly support congestion pricing, or as we like to say, decongestion pricing. It will help reduce traffic, improve air quality, and raise vital funds for critical transit projects. But it's also essential that we get transit right so that we can draw riders onto our system, and that includes making sure that the buses work for everyone. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michael Ring. I'm representing Disabled in Action today, and I'd like to talk about daylighting. I'd like to talk about it because not everyone knows what it really means. It means you need a little bit more room in a crosswalk to see what's coming, if cars are coming. And some crosswalks, the cars can get really close, so that, so I'll demonstrate. So you have to see what's coming. So you stand up, and you can look each way. But that didn't work for me for about a year, because I needed to use a wheelchair for about a year, and I would be this height. And now I'm looking to my right and to my left, and I see these are people, but they would be cars blocking my vision. And my car's vision of me would be blocked by parked cars. So this program to add more daylighting is about safety. People are complaining about it because they might lose a couple of parking spots, but it's just a kind of a minor inconvenience, considering that, you know, lives could be saved and serious injuries could be avoided. A second thing I wanted to talk about, I wish the DOT was still here. I live a block from Prospect Park, and the roadway in Prospect Park isn't governed by the Parks Department, it's governed by the DOT. And the DOT manages lots of roads with cars, but they've kind of given up on Prospect Park, and it's become the Wild West. And I wish they would take some feedback on what the traffic lights should do in Prospect Park, because they're blinking red and yellow and green all the time, but no one knows what to do. And the interaction between cyclists and pedestrians is kind of confusing. Last year, they put in an extra pedestrian lane that made it more confusing. I'm just hoping that we could fix Prospect Park. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michael Cohen, and I'm from the 504 Democratic Club. I would like to say that there has to be a lot of work done to improve bicycle safety and bus service in New York City. I am fully in support of congestion pricing and think that it's a great initiative. Although I would like to see cameras installed to ensure that drivers do not get in the way of bike lanes, and to have rumble strips to alert drivers to the presence of bike lanes, and speed cushions to speed drivers down on major arterial streets, and such as First Avenue. And I would like to see the bus service improved. I'd like to see more frequent bus service and more bus lanes, which are of a better kind than they have now, like more bus-only streets and more busways and offset bus lanes rather than those at the curb. And I'd like to see more bus lanes that are open 24 hours a day. So that when you take a bus, you know that it's going to be a faster trip and the bus is not going to get stuck in traffic. And I'd also like to see an increased number of accessible cabs in New York, and an increased number of accessible van service with ride sharing and things like that. And I'd like to see more subway service more frequently on the A train, where I think that service is not frequent enough. it comes every 20, 30 minutes. I think it should come more often than that, because sometimes I'm taking the A train, and it takes me a very long time to get a train to where I'm going to. I have to go from, like 21st Street to Harlem, so I think that'd be good, have more frequent service on that.
Thank you very much. We'll now call on the next panel. Gib Viconi, Tantro Cabrera, Patrick Fromuth. Okay. You may begin when ready. Please put on the microphone. Thank you.
Pardon me. Good afternoon, and thank you, Chair Brewer. My name is Gib Viconi, and I chair the Prospect Heights Neighborhood Development Council. For the last 4 years, we've operated open streets on Underhill Avenue and Vanderbilt Avenue in Brooklyn. These programs began as pandemic relief efforts, but has since evolved into much more. Underhill Avenue, which is a Vision Zero priority street and home to a public lower school and a playground for young children, saw car crashes fall by more than 50% after the Open Streets program began. It has since led to a pedestrian plaza being established at the avenue's north end, which is now used for passive recreation and popular weeknight programming for adults and children. In fact, we have a yoga class tonight at 6:30 there. While helping local restaurants survive indoor dining restrictions, the Vanderbilt Avenue Open Street was adopted by residents in ways we didn't anticipate. People came with blankets and picnics. Families brought tables and chairs to have dinner in the street together, and we've even had more than half a dozen couples celebrate weddings there. Thousands of people from all over the city now visit Vanderbilt Avenue on weekends, representing a significant economic benefit for local businesses. Of the 22 restaurants that are part of our program, more than half are minority and woman-owned. Their success has in turn enabled them to increase local employment. This year, we will produce more than 100 programming events as part of our Open Streets programs, providing visibility and honoraria to a diverse array of local artists and minority and women entrepreneurs. In nearly 20 years of community organizing in Brooklyn, I have never seen a program that has offered the level of agency and self-determination to a local community that Open Streets has provided. It is transformational in terms of creating new public space, improving economic outcomes for local business, fostering safer streets, supporting the city's climate and sustainability goals, and building a stronger sense of community. I thank the Council for making the program permanent, and I hope the Council sees the opportunity to support existing Open Streets programs as well as to extend their benefits to more communities in New York City. Thanks for the opportunity to share this testimony.
Hello, is on? My name is Santo Cabrera. Thank you for staying here for us to hear us. Just want to say hi, Gail. A long time with you. I'm just an observer over here. I just noticed that the neighborhoods are not equal. The maintaining of the bus lanes are not maintained, and mostly in the Bronx and mostly in Queens. But I noticed that in Manhattan it's maintained all the time. That's painted all the time. You go to Fort Rome, that hasn't been painted, it hasn't been maintained for a long, long time because I hang out there too, so I'm an observer. There's another thing is, we had an incident outside with Gail Brewer and everybody else. We have no protection out there to protest. So we would like to have our city hall back, the steps, because that's our steps. We pay for it, and that's, we need protections too. We did this a long time ago because the police force, somebody got shot over here. I'm afraid somebody's going to get shot out there. There's no protection for us to be protesting out there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We will now turn to remote testimony.
You guys are done.
You're done. Thank you so much. I would like to now welcome Antonia Jeffrey to testify, followed by Glenn Belofsky and Joe Fama.
You may begin.
Good afternoon, Committee Chair Brooks Powers, Chair Gail Brewer, and esteemed members. I first want to thank Councilmember Mercedes Narcisse for sponsoring Intro 885 and for the opportunity to testify today. Also, thank you to the New York City Council for being partners in the push for fines and fees reform dating back to the successful elimination of phone call fees at Rikers, making New York City the first in the country to make all jail phone calls free, and important legislation to end fees for credit card payments by people in custody. I have confidence that the council will continue to be an advocate for eliminating fees and ensuring fines are equitable, as reflected in the overwhelming support for Intro 885 by almost the entire council, including many of you, Councilmember Powers, Councilmember Cruz, Councilmember Ressler, and others who have been trusted partners in previously related reforms, as well as New York City Public Advocate Jumaane Williams, who has demonstrated support to decriminalize poverty on all levels of government. My name is Antonia Jeffrey. I'm the New York State Director at the Fines and Fees Justice Center, a national organization that seeks to reform the use of fines and fees that harm communities and distort justice. In addition to our national work, FFJC works in our focus states, including New York, building replicable models for comprehensive reform. That is eliminating all justice fees, ensuring fines are equitable, and ending draconian collection practices that punish and criminalize poverty. As FFJC's New York State Director, I lead our state and local campaigns throughout New York, and I'm here today because we support the immediate passage of Intro 885. This reform is a good first step, but it is not enough. The council's goal should be to eliminate all justice fees and ensure that any fine imposed is proportionate to both the offense and the individual, and ultimately to end the system of taxation by citation that has a disparate impact on low-income New Yorkers and particularly—
Time expired.
I'm sorry?
Time expired.
Okay. If you could just submit the rest of your testimony in writing. I will. I have submitted it, and I will submit an updated version. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll now hear from Glenn Belofsky, followed by Joe Fama and Kathleen Collins.
Starting time.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon to everyone. I want to thank everyone for showing up today. It takes a lot of time. And I want to specifically thank Chair Sylvina N. Brooks Powers and her terrific team, central staff, and her district staff. I want to thank all the council members and their teams for showing up and working so hard, as well as all the advocates here today, and the members of the administration as well, because dialogue is essential. Dialogue is essential. I'm here to support all these bills that we're on for today, including 221, originally sponsored by Julie Menon, for extending, I believe, the visibility on the curbs that was just also supported by another advocate. This also relates to visibility and saving lives, and relates to the stipulated fine program, which the council previously had 39 members on. So that's something that we would like to encourage the council to reconsider because it aligns perfectly with 221. We also want to provide strong support for 885, which is the reduction of penalties for individuals who are just a few days late on the parking tickets. And this relates to the issue of virtual parking ticket hearings, which we've been pushing for more than 3 years now with the Parking Violations Bureau, which they're withholding intentionally to cause people to pay tickets. It is draconian, as the other advocate said a moment ago, absolutely draconian. We really urge the council to push forward on 885 and or virtual hearings and or elimination of the stipulated fine program. And I want to thank everyone again for your valuable help and this time. And if there's a question for me, I'd be happy to take it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. We'll now move on to Joe Fama, followed by Kathleen Collins and Michelle Bayer.
Good afternoon. My name is Joe Fama. I'm former Assistant Commissioner and Director of Fiscal Affairs of the New York City Parking Violations Bureau. Thank you for the opportunity to address you concerning Intro 885. Let me first state that I am strongly in favor of this proposed legislation and appreciate the committee's work on this bill. I also wish to recognize the efforts of Councilmember Narcisse and committee chairs Brooks, Powers, and Brewer in obtaining 45 member sponsors of the bill. The function of the bill is to require at hearing the dismissal of penalties accrued for parking violations when a decision of guilty is rendered by the administrative judge. The intent of this bill is to provide relief and equity for the citizens of the city. The bill is intended to provide financial relief to the citizens of the city by eliminating an unnecessary financial penalty. Penalties are intended to coerce compliance with parking violation fines, not to extract additional dollars from the people's pocket. Individuals appearing before a judge for hearing in person, by mail, or through the web are making efforts to comply and resolve New York City violations and do not need to be coerced. The vast majority of New Yorkers are good, hardworking citizens trying to do the right thing, and that should be recognized by the city with the dismissal of any accrued penalties. Individuals who adjudicate parking violations at hearing have a very high rate of payment after hearing. Penalty relief is a way to encourage citizens to address their parking violations at hearing. The city should be making every effort to assist individuals wishing to resolve their tickets. This bill will foster an atmosphere of cooperation and good government, which will result in more violations being satisfied and bring revenue to the city without expensive collection efforts.
Time expired.
Well, thank you very much, and I hope the bill passes quickly.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fama.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Kathleen Collins.
Good afternoon,
Time
everyone.
has begun.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kathleen Collins, and I'm on the board of Disabled in Action and also a co-coordinator for Downstate New York ADAPT, two disability organizations that believe people with disabilities should be able to live in the larger community completely. We support Bill number 261, but would like it to go even further. We understand that curb extensions are not appropriate everywhere, such as where there is a bike lane or traffic shoulder. In those instances, the curb extension must be small enough to not reach the bike lane. However, we believe that curb extensions should be installed at all curbs in New York City where there is an on-street parking lane available, so that pedestrians will be able to cross in as safe a manner as possible at all such intersections, and not just intersections that are at this time are the most dangerous. We recognize that this cannot occur overnight, and that such extensions should be installed at the most dangerous intersections first, but it should not stop there. Further, we believe that the minimum installed each year at intersections should be increased to at least 30% each year of those intersections where there is on-street parking lane available in each borough that the Department of Transportation identifies as the most dangerous and with the most pedestrian traffic. So this work gets completed as quickly as possible, so many more lives can be saved. The final goal should be that all intersections where there is an on-street parking lane available have curb extensions, and thus result in a safer city for all pedestrians and drivers alike. Thank you so much for your time and effort today.
Thank you, Ms. Collins.
Thank you, and we'll now hear from Michelle Bayer.
Time has begun.
Hi there. Thank you for this opportunity to check in. And it sounds like everybody is really working towards making the streets safer and also alleviating some of the traffic congestion and the environmental impact that it has. I came in and listened today because I was a small business owner. I own a business, a women's health club. My partner and I were minority owned. to women, and it's in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. And we were invited to be part of DOT, Department of Transportation's Summer Streets this year in Staten Island and in Brooklyn. We had a performance and a table. And I really wanted to check in and thank everybody for that opportunity. It has helped drive our small business that suffered immensely with COVID. 50% of our industry in the health industry closed for good, gyms and health clubs. We were lucky to survive because we are a small business and we do maintain a very nice relationship within our community. So I am just here to say kudos to everyone that's working on this project. It's a difficult project, and you can hear from many different sides where some of the hesitations and challenges come in. And I would love to see more events that promote and support small businesses in New York City. We sorry, I couldn't get my camera on. I got a little nervous, and there I am. Hi. So again, thank you so much for working towards helping small businesses get back on track after COVID. It's been a struggle. We continue to struggle, but projects like these, incentives like these, summer streets, open streets, these really help the communities and help small businesses get noticed. Thanks for taking the time. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. If we have inadvertently missed anyone that is registered to testify today and has yet to have been called, please use the Zoom hand function if you are testifying remotely, and you will be called in the order that your hand has been raised. If you are testifying in person, please come to the dais. Seeing no one, I will now turn it over to Chair Brooks Powers for closing remarks.
I'd like to say thank you to all of my colleagues and to the members of the public that took time today to testify and give remarks as it pertains to the streets plan. We look forward to our follow-up conversations with the Department of Transportation as we move a number of the bills that we heard today forward and ensuring that the agency is upholding its mandate under law. So thank you, and this meeting is now adjourned.